injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on your YouTube machine. Tuesday, June 10th. We're in double figures in June already. Right here on The Monty Show. Really excited, as always, to tell you we're presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The Advocates and Thanksgiving Heroes partnering again. You know, we did a ton to give back to communities across this country, raising money for Thanksgiving meals. Well, now they're doing a motorcycle rally. Rob Adams from Thanksgiving Heroes will join us here in about an hour to talk about that. It's what I tell you all the time. They're not just attorneys. Yes, they are the best injury attorneys in the business. Workman's comp, auto accidents, motorcycles, bicycles, you name it. You get bit by your neighbor's dog, you want the advocates in your corner. But when the communities need assistance, when we are talking about feeding kids, subs for Santa, Thanksgiving Heroes, where families who would have no other means to get a Thanksgiving meal for their kids, the advocates step in and they partner with great people like Rob Adams at Thanksgiving Heroes. It's what I love about him. We'll have that for you coming up an hour from now. But again, and I know this feels like just the same thing we're talking about all the time. But now there's this question about whether or not the world of college sports needs to be saved. As I try to figure out what happened to our graphics, the world of college sports needs to be saved. We've now seen today legislation come in that is aimed at saving the college athlete, protecting the college athlete. And there's a bill that has been put forward in committees now to protect the name, image, and likeness rights of student athletes and for the other purposes. I feel like this is a much ado about nothing but making headlines and people feeling important who really just don't have any business involved in this. And my biggest concern, and I'm not saying that Congress, specifically the House or the Senate is bad, or I'm not saying any of that. We've got other, real issues in this country. We just gutted college athletics as we know it. We've just spent 2.5, 3 years stomping on dreams of high school kids so that senators and legislators can write legislation that I think you and I both know is probably not going to solve anybody's problems, because it rarely does. And we get this story now that we were not really able to get to yesterday about how Greg Sankey and Donald Trump are going to play golf so that they can spend, dedicated time talking about college football and how to save college football. And I just feel like this is so much ado about absolutely nothing. And again, I really don't care what your politics are. I respect you no matter what party you're affiliated with. But I'm curious, do you guys believe that Donald Trump should be dedicating 1 millisecond to college football? Because, Jake, I just don't think that he should.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really difficult situation. Obviously, over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, last couple months, whatever, Donald Trump has shown interest in the sport, has shown interest specifically in the the money and the financial dealings of the sport. And I think what's really problematic with this situation is that our political leaders clearly have a lot of things that they could be getting to and a lot of things that they have to worry about. Now, of course, the obvious, conundrum here is, well, hey, even though the House settlement passed, and there's a lot more agreement on how things should, operate and be handled moving forward, there still needs to be some level of protection for, these conferences, for the NCAA, for the disciplinary body that is a part or included in the House settlement, so they don't consistently just keep getting sued over and over again for different random things that are process-driven things. And so this concept of should federal government be involved in college football? Well, of course, my natural instinct is no. In fact, it's hell no. In fact, it's what can we do? How can we prevent this at all costs, honestly? It's because I don't think we need the federal government involved in college football. But then I sit here and I say, well, what needs to happen for college football to be healthy moving forward? What needs to take place for college football to be its best moving forward? And there's probably going to need to be some involvement of the federal government from a protection standpoint for college football to move forward in its highest, best, most healthiest version that it possibly can. Because
wait, does that mean sending in the Marines from Camp Pendleton?
No, it does not. That would not include any firearm activity or any nuclear warhead activity. But,
excellent. Please carry on.
Thank you. Just want the clarification. But, I just think that there has to be a way for the processes to play out in college football, whether it's a disciplinary conversation, whether it's the college football playoff / Super League in the future, whatever it might be. There has to be a way for all this stuff to work and basically basically work really well to where people don't have to constantly worry about being sued by, governors and by states and by people who are pissed off they didn't get it. Like, we need that in the sport. So if it takes federal intervention on some level to get that to be done, I'm good with that. But under no circumstances do I want the federal government just going through every sector of college football to change everything, because we don't need that.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a complete waste of resources. I want our legislators, our senators, our representatives, our department heads, our president, certainly focused on the issues that are affecting our country as we speak. That does not include college athletics in any way, shape, or form. And I think when we look at the way that the system has changed and we look at the things that student athletes are dealing with now, I just believe that we have all these processes in place now with NIL and the House settlement. All of this stuff is already a letter of the law. Do we need a new entity that has antitrust protections? Absolutely, we do. And if that's what we're doing, okay, great. But that's not what we're seeing in this legislation. This legislation that's being proffered is all about protecting name, image, and likeness rights of the student athletes and for other purposes. We just did that for the last 3 years. And the real issue is all we're going to do here is write legislation that protects the rich old guys who created this problem in the first place. And I feel like nothing that we ever get out of old heads that are billionaires is going to protect young people that are not even 100,000aires.
Facts.
These are people, these young people that are trying to get their education on a very small level. I agree with that. But this idea somehow that because now they can get paid that they don't deserve a scholarship is absolutely ridiculous. And I go to what Charlie Baker said today, which is what I've said for years now. College sports' collective inability to change years ago put the entire enterprise at risk, said NCAA President Charlie Baker. How many times on this show have I told you it is the inability of rich white billionaires to give just a penny to an athlete that started this problem, exacerbated the problem, and has landed us exactly where we are today, which is in courts and committees and state houses and the U.S. Capitol and the White House. Well, on golf courses with the White House. That's why we're here. Because the old heads that are billionaires that run college athletics, or at least used to, would not give up their pennies to save their Benjamins. And I never understood it. Pay a kid. Let Jeremy Bloom get a K2 sponsorship. Pay kids from EA Sports money so that their name, image, and likeness can be used in a video game. But you didn't want to do that. You wanted all that money for yourself. You wanted to make sure that Olympians were still amateurs when they were never amateurs. Right? It makes me crazy that we've gone through all of this, and now you want to write legislation to do the exact same thing that the House settlement supposedly is in place to do. What sense does that make? We're in this era where we're trying to save money and spend less in government, however you want to spin that nonsense. Well, then sick Doge on this thing. I don't know, because you can't tell me that writing legislation to protect the name, image, and likeness of student athletes is at all purposeful. Because what did we just go through this for? Why did we destroy college sports as we knew it if you were just going to legislate it at the end of the day? Because that's what I don't understand here. Somebody explain to me why we need a bill to protect the name, image, and likeness rights of student athletes and for other purposes. We have it. It's called the House settlement. Why do we need legislation? So when we sit here and we talk about, oh, well, Monty, our legislators are working. No, they're not. They're wasting time.
Facts.
That's what this is. And I'm telling you, I had a terrifying conversation with a guy this morning involved in university athletics, who said to me, you wait until July 1st rolls around. Friends, that's 21 days from today. Does anybody know what the July 1st deadline, what that signifies? Every D1 university in this country has to opt in or opt out of the House settlement revenue sharing. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want to put it out there because I've not corroborated it. But I have heard at least one massive university is not going to opt in, or is at least contemplating not opting in. And that there are a handful of power conference members who are not going to opt into the settlement. And it is believed by most people, and a lot of people in TV I've asked about this, because I will sit here and tell you, TV sports executives know everything that happens long before it ever happens.
Right.
It is believed that as much as 65% of the G5 is going to opt out of revenue sharing.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, that's just common sense. But I think, I mean, I know it's a big number, but it's just common sense, man. And here's my question. For said university that shall remain unnamed, was that university a yearly college football contender?
Yes.
Okay. So
we are talking about a household brand in college athletics that is, as it was explained to me today, wants to opt out and is being lobbied not to opt out. And I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if we somehow out of nowhere get a thing that says, well, we're going to push that back to September 1st for a deadline. Because I'm telling you, it's not good for business if you went through all of this heartache and heartbreak to find out that 65% of the G5 is eliminated from the college football playoff.
But they're already eliminated from the college football playoff.
Right. But not in fact.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree that 99.9% of the G5 has no access to the college football playoff.
So the point here, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. The point here is that we just want to be able to say in college football leadership and in political circles, hey, everybody is technically involved. Like, we need to get more people to opt in.
Right. What I'm telling you is, and as it's been explained to me, and if I'm wrong, okay, great. As it was explained to me multiple times over the last 2 days, you have to opt in. Right? You don't have a choice. The House settlement opts you in. If you do not want a revenue share, you actually have to submit in writing saying we are not going to revenue share. We are out of that process, which essentially takes you out of the highest tier of college football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and it's probably sensational because I'll be honest with you, I don't talk to people in television that are frazzled very often. This thing with the opt-out numbers, I think has some television people a little nervous.
Well, I mean, the reality is the sport needs, the sport needs to find balance. There's no question about it.
And a particular person I talked to made that point by saying they need to thin the herd, which is what this will do.
Yeah, I think, thin the herd. I also think, to that point of thinning the herd, again, how long have we been saying on the show that the G5 needs its own system? And I think that, I know that this is one step closer to that. And I just think that you can't solve every single problem right off the bat, right? So there's obviously, before the House settlement was agreed to, the House settlement was the highest priority item in terms of everybody working to fix the problem, right? So now that that's been fixed, now we've graduated to, okay, well, who's going to opt in and who's going to opt out? And the problem is that that's inherently going to create. So then from there, when we work through that process, my feeling is you can't tell me that there are not G5 leaders at certain universities talking about, okay, well, how do we make this work? Because $20.5 million for us is essentially our entire life savings.
But you guys understand, I think there's a misconception about this as well. I did a radio interview today and I'm not even going to say who it is, but these radio hosts did not understand. It's not $20.5 million in revenue sharing for football. You guys understand that, right? That $20.5 million is a minimum, number one. And number two, that's for all sports. $20.5 million for every athlete in your department, not just football, not just football and basketball. Every sport across the board at every major university who opts in will share $20.5 million on a sliding scale, depending on how much revenue is generated. Because the starting quarterback's not getting paid less than the anchor of the 4x400 meter relay on your track team. You understand it's $20.5 million for the entire athletic department to share.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that much money. So I go back to this theory. It's the haves and the have-nots. It is what our society is built on. And I probably should be careful saying this, but I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. We are here right now because quite literally the NCAA's war chest was built on the back of college athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And rich old white guys. And I know last week when I said that, like the world got caught on fire. Dude, who do you think ran the NCAA? Can you recall the high-powered, well-placed black man that ran the NCAA? Because I don't recall that guy. The decision makers, the influential power makers were overwhelmingly millionaires that were white guys. They made decisions to block student athletes from making money. And again, I used the example of Jeremy Bloom yesterday. Bo Jackson was another one that came up in the comment sections. Michael Jordan is one that didn't do a Nike deal or an Adidas deal, which he wanted to do while he was at North Carolina because he was an amateur. The list is endless, especially in Olympic sports, where you had college athletes who were not allowed to, again, endorse a ski company, even though they were a football player in college and an Olympic skier, because that would mean they're not amateurs anymore. And it's really because the powers did not want to share their money. It was as simple as that, because you allow one guy to go and get an endorsement with K2 skis. And what do you think everybody else is going to do? And what did it lead to? It led to the Johnny Manziel stuff. It led to the tattoos at Ohio State stuff. It led to all of this nonsense where people were signing autographs, and it never had to be this way. But yet here we are, because you have people who didn't want to share. And I am now, thankfully, not the only one saying this. It is college sports' collective inability to change years ago put the entire enterprise at risk.
Agreed.
And that's exactly what it was. And I'm telling you, it really is not changed. We can sit here and we can fantasize, but you look at the way NIL is trending. Do you really think that multimillionaire legislators who are buying stock and selling stock before anybody knows what's happening because they know what's happening, do you really think that these people who make millions and millions of dollars under the table on our votes are going to now somehow write fair legislation that hands money to poor young people?
No.
Do you really think that's what this bill's about?
How do the rich stay rich?
Come
They
on.
don't give away money.
Come on. You know better than that. You know better than that. My biggest fear is NIL does not, in my opinion, if we put this in front of Congress and they legislate this, this House settlement bullshit we've been through for 3 years has been a complete waste of time.
Yep.
All the lawsuits, all the injunctions, all of it, waste of time. Because I just don't believe that legislators and politicians and our president should be worried about what Greg Sankey is going to do with the SEC. Why isn't Tim Pernetti playing golf with Donald Trump? Because he doesn't have any power. Why isn't Teresa Gould? Why isn't Gloria Nevarez? Why aren't the G5? Because they don't have any power. Because half of their membership or more is going to opt out of revenue sharing.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. At some point, you got to create your own system. You got to create your own thing that benefits your members. You have to build it.
I just want to, at some point, get to a place. I am not poor. I am not sitting here pretending to be poor. But I want to get to a place where everybody has an opportunity to make the money that they're able to make.
Yeah.
However you're able to make. You want to be. This guy on the radio this morning asked me, well, what happens if, the best female college basketball player creates an OnlyFans? What do you mean what happens? I'm going to assume she's shooting that stuff after practice. What do you mean?
What does that have to do with NIL?
Because what I think people want is they want to put things in a box. Well, that's okay, but if you want to do OnlyFans or if you want to endorse Budweiser, we can't have that.
Well, listen, I think that if you go back to, the statement that Mark Harlan put out and Utah put out yesterday, there's a line in there that talks about, I believe it was in their statement, where they talk about how it was the verbiage they used was like limited, reserved, limited NIL situations, meaning that it is in these NIL contracts that are going to get done and are going to go through NIL Go Clearinghouse. The terms of that agreement are going to be specific. You're not going to get these broad ranging, terms that, leave everything to interpretation. It's going to be like, very specific verbiage in these contracts. And so, with all due respect to people who don't understand this, I mean, you're in the United States of America. This country is built on capitalism, meaning that you're not going to tell a college athlete, hey, like, if you look at the verbiage here, I can't see it. There's a line in there that talks about like specific, deals being done, like specific verbiage. And my main point is that you're not going to say to a college athlete, hey, like in the OnlyFans example, hey, you can't go do OnlyFans because that doesn't fall under NIL regulations. Yeah, the problem with that is OnlyFans, as an example, there are others, but OnlyFans is completely outside of the scope of what NIL is. It's not applicable to the athlete. What's applicable?
That's my point.
What's applicable is what you do in the jersey, right? On the field, on the court. Hey, I am the best swimmer at my school, and Bob's Mechanic wants to promote his business, so I'm going to have Bob's Mechanics logo on my uniform. Or
more to the point, at practice, when I walk out to practice, I'm going to be wearing a Bob's Automotive.
Yeah.
Or when I'm out over the weekend, I'm going to make an appearance at Bob's Automotive. My point is, if a kid wants to do OnlyFans, let her do OnlyFans. Let him do OnlyFans. If a kid wants to endorse Chevrolet or drive a Ram pickup truck, why should we be able to say, no, you can't do that? If you're 18 and you're an adult, the rules and laws in this country say you are an adult, go make your own decisions. We'll let them go hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to be a doctor or a lawyer, but we won't let them make hundreds of thousands of dollars driving a Lamborghini or wearing a nice watch. Or
well, let me take it one step further, because I think it applies. We're happy, bro. We're happy to let people go into massive debt to be W-2 employees so we can tax the balls off of them.
That's true.
But the moment that homegirl wants to utilize an opportunity on OnlyFans, and the moment she makes a controversial decision, but in some people's eyes, no, that doesn't, no, can't do that, right? Because that would mean that you're going to be a millionaire overnight, and like that's what they do, man. So am I sitting here saying that everybody should be doing OnlyFans type material, and that's what I'm saying is that if a kid has the mental fortitude to be a D1 athlete and be in a D1 classroom and have a business outside of that has nothing to do with college athletics and no connection, then more power to you, bro. Like, if you can do that, great. That's awesome, man. Literally, more power to you. How do you guys think, bro, how famous is Shaq for how many businesses he has and how many locations he owns? Like, dude, professional athletes have stuff outside of what they're doing. So it's always been incredible to me that we want to say, oh, well, hey, they're an amateur in collegiate athletics. They can't have a business. It's ridiculous, dude. This country's founded on capitalism. You're just trying to keep them in one lane so you can keep them paying tax. That's all that is. So I don't have any problem with it. I don't have any issue with it as long as it follows the guidelines. But my main point, to bring it back full circle, is this is why the question of federal intervention is a question, because the rich old white hairs want to keep as much control and power as they can. But the house settlement and NIL and this new age stuff is just cutting the rope, right? You're just basically taking away power from them slowly but surely.
Yeah, and I think it is really difficult. If you're not going to opt into revenue sharing, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete, because you're not going to be able to pay your athletes directly. And if you're not able to pay your athletes directly, they're going to go somewhere where they can. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see who's in and who's out. And I think it is going to be fascinating to see how this game plays out, because if you don't want a revenue share, what is the motivation for a kid to come and play at your university? That's what I don't understand. I don't know how you fix a lot of these issues if you opt out. I really don't know. And it's like the Ivy League. I believe the Ivy League is fully opted out. And the Ivy League's not going to compete. And right now the Ivy League has much larger and further reaching problems.
Mm-hmm.
But can you imagine the Pac-12 or the Mountain West or the AAC or the Mississippi Valley all being like, nah, we're going to opt out of that? I can't see that happening. All right, let's get your thoughts in here. Lopes fan Gabe for $5. Gabe, good to see you, my friend. Raise your hand if you remember when Republicans were for small government, dude.
Facts.
The money, and that's what is really so difficult about where we are in our society today. The rich continue to get richer, while the schism, the fissure, the canyon, the gap down to the middle class. Oh, wait, the middle class doesn't exist anymore. You're either rich or you're poor in this country.
Facts.
And
it's one or the other.
So when you look at Congress, you look at a senator or a congressperson. Do you understand how much money they make the minute they're elected? And we see, I think the most relatable one is stocks. Like, you look at what happened in the first quarter where you had a bunch of senators and Congress people selling what turned out to be billions of dollars in stock just hours before Donald Trump announced major tariffs. Did you get that opportunity? Did I get that opportunity? No. Did they? Yeah, because they knew about it ahead of time. Right? That's what's happening in NIL. I think that is a very, very applicable example. You have decisions being made about kids, for kids, without their say in it. And the people making the decisions are making big money off of those decisions. And the kids continue to have to navigate these minefields of, well, you're not allowed to do that. You might be able to do that, but hey, the car dealership that sponsors our football stadium would love to do a deal with you. They're going to pay us and you'll get a truck that you can drive while you're a student here. Those are the kind of deals that were happening. Like, and BYU with Built Bar, or like,
yeah,
hey, Built Bar's going to pay, to be the official protein bar. Now, if you guys sell Built Bars with your special promo code, we'll give you free Built Bars. Like, nobody wants that deal. That's not an NIL deal, right? Like, it is what is systematically wrong and why it is so difficult for young people to get off the mat right now. That's the real issue. Chewy Gonzalez for $5. Facts, Monty. The issue isn't Republican versus Democrat. It is rich versus poor, haves versus have-nots. I think a lot of people, and we see it on this show on a regular basis, a lot of people are stuck in you're a Trump guy or you're not. You're a Democrat or you're a Republican. You're a liberal or you're a conservative. No. We're all Americans. But some of us are rich and most of us are poor.
And I feel like the term, well-to-do doesn't really exist anymore. Like, well-to-do as a kid for me meant that, like, you had a nice house and, like, you had a lot of money in the bank and you were just kind of chilling, but, like, you weren't like a millionaire, you were just well-to-do. Like, now it's like, hey, $100,000 W-2 employee is struggling in most areas in this country. And that's the crazy part. And yeah, we see the flashy NIL happenings in college football with certain players or whatever, but that's not the majority. The majority are making breadcrumbs. Yeah, they're getting nothing. Like,
they're not making big money.
So that's why I say I just think that the concept of, hey, like, the idea of you're going to go and work, you're going to go to college, you're going to go find that 50-year job, that's over with now, bro. Like, that's not happening unless you're a C-suite level person, unless you're able to get into leadership at a big company and do that. For the regular Joe, that's over with now. And I think that's what's difficult, whether we're talking college football, we're talking just regular everyday person. That's what's hard is that you have to go out and do something new and you have to go out and sort of create for yourself. And I think that's difficult and it requires, I mean, imagine the sacrifice, these kids are making, right? Obviously they get to play the sport that they love and have played their whole life. But, your favorite athletes have all talked about it. Like, they're not going to parties. They're not living like that typical lifestyle. They have to be 100% committed and all in on what they do to get by. And I think that's what's hard is, like, these kids are asking their parents for money. They're in a lot of cases working a job outside of practice and outside of their studies. And nobody cares about that, which I understand. It's not your job to care about it. Yep. But before we start saying kids don't deserve scholarships and, all these kids get paid all this money, and let's have some perspective that your opinion about the 1%ers in NIL is not a correct opinion on the 99%.
No. And I think we very much like to, and I don't know what the right way to, I don't even know what the right way to put it is, but we very much like to believe that our life is how everybody lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case at all. Caleb Daniels for $10. The NFL Instagram posted a Brandon Lloyd highlight today. Man, the memories. Dude could ball.
Dude, yeah.
Dude was a player. He was Brandon Lloyd was a hell of a football player. I remember him most as a 49er, I think, but he was a heck of a football player. No doubt about that. All right, let's see. Who else is in the comments today? Stadium Guy James, a good part of this edition is bigger video boards. It looks good. Okay. Mr. Preston, hello. James also says, I visited Houston Stadium during lunch. Their football ops edition to TDCU Stadium is almost done. Well, thank God.
New YouTube video coming or what, dude?
But I don't know how. The Stadium Guy James says, sorry, but Monty, I just hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button, will you please? We have had over 1,000 views and we're only at 31 likes. Hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure you find us wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. Our audio podcast is everywhere. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify, iHeart, you name it. Wherever you get a podcast, just search The Monty Show and subscribe to our audio podcast. Chewy Gonzalez, Trump will only save college football if it only serves him and his interests. I don't know about that. I think it's interesting that Donald Trump and Greg Sankey are going to play golf. What do you think the contents of that conversation will be?
I think mostly educational for Trump. I think he wants to know, Trump, we've known over his whole life, even before politics, like Donald Trump is someone who wants to know the ins and outs of how things work so he can then understand how to make change or leverage it, So to me, it's like, if you're golfing with someone, you're going to talk about the health of college football. You're going to talk about, what would be best for Greg Sankey, obviously, because he's the one golfing with you. So you're going to ask that question. I'm sure. I think you're also going to talk about, how you can grow the game and how you can make people more money, because that I feel like, if we know anything about Donald Trump, like that's been Trump's thing his whole life, making money or doing deals or whatever. So to me, I would think that would be the contents of the conversation. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to, they'll talk about random stuff in their life, I'm sure, because they're, with all due respect to those guys, they're old white dudes golfing. That's what we old white dudes do. We talk about our life and what we're doing and how are the kids, and
how great the new Kirkland golf ball is,
like stuff like that. So I'm sure that they will fool around and have fun with that. But I think that Donald Trump, understands that let's be generous and say a 5-hour round of golf, 5.5-hour round of golf for him with Greg Sankey is not a ton of time, but it is enough time to make progress.
Yes.
And so you ask the right questions, you come prepared, and you have a good time. And I think that's what they'll do.
I think two things are very true of Donald Trump. He does not do anything that is not for profit. I think Donald Trump, adding to his legacy scorecard, is the guy that created the new entity of college football, or created the Super League, or made it possible, or whatever the outcome of that round of golf is. We know that Trump will be a couple of things. He'll still be his club champion, at Mar-a-Lago, and he'll be the best golfer there. He will shoot the lowest score of anybody in the world that day. Donald Trump routinely cheats at golf, allegedly. And I think if he has an opportunity to put his name on college football, he's going to do that.
Yes.
That I don't have any doubt in my mind. I think
of anybody, the person, whether that's Donnie or that's, Greg or, whoever it might be, the person that is credited with, hey, you did X, and that caused college football to take this big leap forward that everyone in the masses.
Do you remember when Donald Trump and Greg Sankey played golf? And then shortly after that, Greg Sankey was named the commissioner of college football in this new entity.
Man, give Donald Trump all the credit in the world.
And do you guys remember how quickly they got antitrust protections? Like, wow,
man,
like that to me seems like the process.
Yeah.
Because he can sell that. He can make money on that. Big pontiff. He's got a huge pontiff. If you don't opt in, you're going to be a farm system for bigger colleges. Your access to the national championship, the college football playoff, instantly evaporates.
But okay, I agree. But we're already seeing that. Like this concept of the G5 somehow has great opportunity. They don't.
Right, but if you don't opt, understand what do we all understand the ramifications of not opting in? What does that actually mean? It means that you cannot share revenue. You cannot pay college athletes directly. That's what that means. The actual definition of opting out of revenue sharing is you cannot pay college athletes directly at your university.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? They're going to lose money, the athlete. If somebody comes to your university, they will be losing their share of $20.5 million. Name, image, and likeness is going to be more difficult because while it is still available to athletes across the NCAA, the biggest issue is the best players will not go to a place that will not share their revenue with them. So you're not going to have the talent. And right now, there's a lot of fabulously talented Power 4 athletes that are playing in G5 football. That will no longer be the case. You will not have little Jimmy staying in Boise, right? Like you won't have Carl staying in Laramie because his family has a sheep farm there. That's not going to happen anymore. And I think it is true. I would agree 99% of the G5 doesn't have access to the college football playoff. But now it's going to be pretty close to 100%. Even if you're Boise State, you just aren't going to make the money or have access to paying players the kind of revenue sharing that the power conference universities will. And I think one of the things that's very interesting is if you're a power conference and you have a university that doesn't want to opt in, do they have to leave your conference? Is it even possible? Because I still maintain, even though we're hearing this more and more, I still maintain that if you're in a power conference, you are opting in. You're going to do it, which is to say you won't opt out.
Right.
Right? Because you're automatically opted in. You have to opt out. And I think it's by July 1st. You have to opt out. My guess is that deadline's going to get pushed back. And I think it's going to be very difficult for a team in any of the P4 conferences to opt out.
Well, yeah, I just think there's going to be documentation inside each conference that requires you to opt in. You're not going to be part of the conference.
You're going to sign an agreement.
Yeah, you're not going to be part. It's just going to be.
It's what Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti were talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be right up the alley of any other conference level documentation that members have to sign, whether that's, at this point, the grant of rights of the world or, any of that stuff. That it's going to go right along with that. My imagine manila folder, commitment to the conference, grant of rights, hey, you're mandated to be in revenue sharing, like all of that stuff. It's like you're doing a car deal, right? They bring out the stack of papers you have to sign. That's what this is. It's just another paper on top of the pile that you're going to have to sign. And if you don't like it, you can get out. And so, in other words, you don't really have a choice. And this is why, again, I love all the people in our comments section saying that we knee padded Utah yesterday. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any other universities putting out video the way Utah is putting out video on this new NIL situation and the House settlement. Because, again, I'm just sitting here saying, dude, like I'm not even a Utah fan. Yes, we talk about them a lot because we're in Salt Lake and we talk a lot of Big 12. But these guys are literally having a statement ready. They had a coordinated video strategy that included their AD. And you're telling me that I'm giving them too much credit for putting stuff out.
How many universities did look at this video that Utah clearly put time, effort, and money behind? How many universities had a video like this ready to go?
A new day is here for intercollegiate athletics, Utah fans, and the University of Utah is fully prepared to embrace it. A recent settlement allows institutions like Utah to commit even greater resources to help student athletes develop their brand and maximize their earning potential. The settlement also puts guidelines and structure in place that will help serve as a roadmap for years ahead. Utah Athletics has undergone a reorganization of staff to create an internal team that is dedicated to delivering expanded resources and education that empowers student athletes to be standout brand ambassadors and thrive in new opportunities. Utah student athletes have earned more than $10 million since the inception of NIL and touched many lives in the community by working with charitable organizations through the education and opportunities provided by the Use Elevate U program and collectives. None of that would have been possible without the work of Utah's most committed supporters.
With this incredible momentum, Utah Athletics is all in again. Between new scholarship allocations and revenue sharing, we will be investing over $34 million into our student athletes next year. Of course, we can't do any of this without your support, our donors, our ticket holders, and all those that invest in us to keep our momentum at an all-time level. Utah Athletics is committed and inspired to further develop our culture of excellence that supports our student athletes for success in the classroom, in competition, and in community. We are building upon that success to compete for both conference and national championships in the years to come. This is an incredible time to be a student athlete, especially at the University of Utah. A new day has dawned in college athletics, and Utah Athletics is poised to succeed more than ever. Thank you, and go Utes!
Bro, that is so out of character historically for Utah. And to make a package like that, do you guys understand how much money they spent on that? And the effort, the energy, the preparedness, the pipeline, they were ready for that. And you look around the country, you don't see hundreds of those videos.
No.
I think one of the things that's so clear is that Utah is trying to separate itself as a professional operation that is leaning in to the welfare and benefit of its student athletes.
Yeah, and I would say they are separating themselves. I mean,
I would agree with
think
that.
The most important portion of that video is he said they're going to revenue share $34 million. Like, they don't need to be revenue sharing $34 million. That's not a requirement. That's not, nobody's forcing them to do that. Like 20.5 is the number, and you're at 34.5, I believe you said. Like, that's a really strong, push there. And I think that, one of the things that Utah has suffered from, frankly, is recruiting and being able to get the best athletes. And I think they understand that. And this goes right to that. Because how many times have we heard a college athlete say, hey, well, yeah, they were, they offered me money, but they're not really historically a school that like really, or a program that really pays out its kids. You don't really see the biggest names going there. And I think Utah is starting to understand that, which is why you're starting to see video. You're starting to hear from Mark Harlan a lot more. Like the schools that are their ADs are very involved and very spoken and on Twitter and doing videos and doing media. Like, those are the schools that thrive in recruiting. You're making Witt's job or your head coach's job way easier when you put it out there.
Yeah, and I think you look at the difference between, like, in our state, BYU and Utah.
Mm-hmm.
This has historically been BYU's lane. Like, video creation, all of that stuff. That's historically been BYU's lane, right? And you look at the 1,000 of you watching this show between YouTube and Twitter, and I tell you that it is pretty amazing to me that it is now Utah who has taken the lead in NIL, because Utah has been far behind the curve. And for me, Mark Harlan's the reason behind this, but you can't do this without the president, the athletic director, the football coach. Like, you can't do this stuff unless you are wholly aligned. And you look at the female sports endowment, and as much as I've espoused about female sports on this show, and I think it's incredibly important, you look at the way that female sports plays such an important part in young women's lives in this country. And you look at how important stick and ball sports are in college, softball, $1 million pitcher at Texas Tech this year. How important are sports to your young people in this, your young women, your soccer players, your volleyball players? That's why this $34.5 million figure that Utah is talking about is so massive, because that pays for softball. That pays for lacrosse, volleyball, the sports that you never think about that means so much to 10-year-old women, 10-year-old girls. You look at Caitlin Clark. Look at what Caitlin Clark has done. And when we talk about disadvantaged communities and how sports plays such a massive role in developing young people in disadvantaged communities? Do you really believe that if we eliminate soccer, softball, baseball, track and field, do you know how many young people, and I mean girls and boys now, if you look at the young people in this country who probably don't even recognize that their ability to make money as a professional athlete is living and dying through this house settlement and all, bro, I cannot tell you how important it is for somebody like Utah in our community to step up the way that they have with a women's sports endowment, with this NIL stuff. Revenue sharing above the minimum threshold is critically important. And I cannot say enough to Mark Harlan. I cannot say enough to any of the people at Utah making these decisions. Man, I just can't say enough about how important that is. And so I ask you, no matter where you're watching the show, if you're in Los Angeles, if you're in Washington, like all of our friends in Laramie, like wherever you are. Hell, I talked to a guy in Arizona last night, one of our great Phoenicians who's an Arizona State alum, saying, man, I really hope that the Arizona educational system can facilitate $42 million a year in revenue sharing. Like, think about that, you guys. And I'm not trying to get into the woods here, but if you think about Arizona and Arizona State, was it again $240 million Arizona lost?
Yes.
On a mathematical error.
A decimal.
They were paying for sports during COVID out of their general fund. So what pays the light bill at the University of Arizona and your checking account. They were paying for sports out of their checking account, and they made an error that cost them $240 million. And so you look at then, hey, we got a revenue share, $42 million a year in the system in the state of Arizona for Arizona and Arizona State. That's terrifying, man. That is absolutely terrifying. And then we start talking about scholarship reductions in academics. Do you know how many disadvantaged kids in this country rely on those scholarships to go to college? So as much as we're talking about, hey, football, basketball, and whatnot, we're not really talking about just football and basketball. We're talking about, and I hesitate to say this because I know every time I bring this up on the show, people lose their minds. Research money and educational money.
That's what fucking
right? Like
that is
like,
fuck off.
It really upsets people when I say, hey, research money and educational money matters, dude.
Suckmyass.com.
Easy. But my point is, people like Utah are not going to take from they're an R1 research institution. They're not going to take from their R1 research money to pay for sports. Sports is going to have to pay for itself through private equity, which is another thing most of you don't want to hear about. And I totally understand that. But these are the realities we live in. Hero 75, in my view, the only schools which have a chance to opt out and still have an outside chance of getting into the playoffs are Army and Navy. I don't think they will do NIL. Well, it's really interesting you talk about service academies because a lot of people are talking about Air Force and the Commander's Trophy. And folks, college sports is changing rapidly. And is it even a like or a dislike thing, or is it a, hey, let's get on board with it? I think it is.
You don't have a choice.
I love what college sports has done for my life, honestly, but is Notre Dame football today in 2025 the same as it was when I was a kid in 1985?
No.
Dude, it's not nearly the same thing. We have to grow and evolve. And I think this thing with college sports it's painful. And I love our comment section. We've been on the air 56 minutes today, and we've got 579 comments about the health and longevity of college football. And I look at all of you on Twitter, Facebook. Hello to everybody on Facebook. Twitter has been unbelievable. Excuse me. X has been, don't want to get in trouble with Elon. X has been unbelievable for this show over the last, 3-5 months. And I really appreciate everybody who watches on X, everybody who watches on Facebook. Spotify. Again, if you guys are not downloading our audio podcast, we have seen an absolute revelation on the audio side of this. So I really appreciate all the support you guys give us. But I hear you guys. Our comment section 24 hours a day is all about how much you hate what's going on in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not easy, and I would just encourage you to lean into it, right? We have a lot going on in the world, and I would just say lean into it. Things are going to change. Things are going to evolve. The more that you find a way to adapt to what your university or whether you're Utah, BYU, Texas Tech, all of our Arizona friends, all of our San Diego State listeners, like you guys, you have to lean into it and understand that it's just part of what it is. Big Blue Horses, Utah runs a very lean athletic department and should be in a good position to take advantage of NIL. But what else did Mark Harlan say? They're adding human infrastructure. They are adding more support staff to athletics. And I think what the Crimson Club at Utah has done, the Crimson Collective, you guys, I can't tell you how much money they have put into, what is Oak State James called? CNS.
Yeah, CNS seating.
And amenities.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much money they have put into, hey, you're a season ticket holder. Here's a nice cushy seat. Here's they've upgraded all of their food, all of their choices, all of their offerings. It has been nothing short of sensational at Utah. And I'm sure they're doing a lot of that same stuff at BYU, but
what's the difference? It's
private and the church runs that business and we don't get to know what they're doing
about it
because their books are not public and Utah's a public institution. So Phil Venzer. Hello, Phil. How's Las Vegas treating you? How's your health, my guy? I know that you were battling some health issues. Also at UNLV, we have $80 million war chest from tuitions. Yeah. And I think, Phil, we've talked about this with UNLV, that Allegiant Stadium, revenue stream is probably rich. Like that's probably too much.
Right.
But the fact that there is a revenue stream that is being created at Allegiant Stadium where UNLV plays football, I think UNLV and Las Vegas in general are coming into a revolution of sports. The casino business, the entertainment business there was a horrendous event on the Strip the other night. Like, I agree that the culture of Las Vegas is changing, but I also agree that sports in Las Vegas is exploding. The A's are going to be there eventually somehow, maybe sometime on the Strip, allegedly. F1 is there still. I think the NBA is going to be there. You've got tremendous hockey there. You've got tremendous NFL there. Right here in Utah. I cannot tell you, people that work in the office building where our studio was, hello, people who we work with.
Yeah.
Are Raiders season ticket holders. And it never occurred to me. I'm a Bears fan, but there are so many people here that go to Las Vegas for the NFL. So Phil, I think you're in a very interesting place. And I think UNLV is not. There's all this talk about UNLV being poor. Is UNLV broke? No, they are not broke. Are they paying exit fees and legal fees? They're not. And maybe, Phil, you're one of our most qualified guys to talk about life at UNLV. They're not broke, and they're not going out of business. So, yeah, well, there you go. Exactly. Not broke. I don't think Air Force will participate either. We'll see. We shall see. Fight on Natties. How's Los Angeles, sir? Speaking of Caitlin Clark, joke of the year so far, Angel Reese named Sportswoman of the Year by BET over Asia Wilson. Really, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now that Angel Reese eventually has to make the first shot of a game. She's a
generational rebounder, okay? Come on.
She's not as bad as people are making it out for her to be. The thing I don't like about, and we've tried to stay away from this because I just don't think there's no, how shall I say it? There's no benefit in it. There's nothing there that makes it, I don't know, even logical to talk about it. I don't like that we pick everything based on, well, that's Caitlin Clark, that's Angel Reese, she's black, she's white, so she must be better. Like, they're basketball players. And we don't pick on NBA guys because of their race or in general. We don't talk about Alex Caruso being terrible because he's white, or he's a great, like, why are we doing that with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark? Because I'm going to tell you, we talk about this in our pre-show meeting almost every day. I try to avoid it. And I love talking about Caitlin Clark. I love talking
drama,
about her
dude.
game.
It is drama.
I can't stand that everything has to be, one, it's different if you're a woman. You're held to a crazily different standard, which I think is ridiculous. And two, like, I look at the Sophie Cunningham thing with the Phoenix Mercury and that supposed affair that now it looks like never, ever happened. Yet it was just thrown into a lawsuit as almost like an afterthought. And because she's a woman and there was a guy involved, well, it must be true. It's crazy to me that we can't have a basketball discussion around, but I get it. That's just not who we are. All right. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show. We are waiting for Rob Adams from Thanksgiving Heroes. We've talked to Rob on the show many times. We have told you the advocates and Thanksgiving Heroes. We've raised a lot of money for those folks. You guys know that. You have done a great job supporting the Thanksgiving Heroes program. I thought it was amazing last time Rob Azani was talking about delivering boxes of food. And you guys remember that? The emotion at Thanksgiving when you're handing a box of food to a family who would not have otherwise had it. And I think he's one of the best storytellers we've ever had on the show. We're waiting for him to join us. They're doing a big motorcycle rally to raise money for Thanksgiving Heroes. And this is what I tell you about the advocates every single day on this show. They're working in our communities. And it almost doesn't matter. And I tell you this all the time: Idaho, Washington, San Diego, Arizona, Las Vegas, certainly here in the great state of Utah. Everywhere you are, get to theadvocates.com. And we're in a stretch of the 100 most dangerous days of the year between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And I know the weather's beautiful. We're going to be in the hundreds this weekend, close to it here in Utah. People are on their bicycles. People are on their motorcycles. Man, if you're on the road, please be careful. The advocates remind you, keep your eyes in your mirrors, man. Turn your head when you're making a right-hand turn and you're in your neighborhood. Take an extra look because kids are out on their bicycles. Parents and families are taking walks and folks are out on their motorcycles. It's such a dangerous time of the year. Please be careful. And listen, if the worst happens, if you get hit while you're riding your bike or on your motorcycle, or heck, if you're just out in the family truckster this weekend and you get in an accident, be ready because your insurance company's not going to fight for you. That's a for-profit business, not your profit, their profit. And I say it all the time, hand the claims process to the advocates. Let the advocates fight for that profit that you deserve, because you didn't deserve to get into that accident. You were riding your bike. You didn't deserve to get hit while you were riding your bike. Go to somebody who can fight for you, who's experienced in it, who knows how to fight that fight, and more importantly, who knows how to win that fight. That's why you go to the advocates at theadvocates.com, or you can chat with an injury attorney live online, 24/7, 365. And I'm telling you, it is one of the things that I believe in so passionately that the advocates do. They serve you where and how you need to be served. And one of the things that we've always talked about on the show is maybe it's not in their office. Maybe you've been in an accident and you need a consultation, and maybe that's bedside. Maybe that is on your phone via video chat, right? Maybe that's a FaceTime. Maybe that's a Google chat. The advocates are ready to serve you. Get to theadvocates.com, 24/7, 365. They are ready to serve you. When Rob pops up, we'll pop him on the show because, you guys, Thanksgiving Heroes is such an important organization. I love that guy. I love his red glasses, and I hope we get him on the show. If not today, we'll get him on someday this week. But thanks to the advocates who always present the Monty Show. Hour number 2 of the show. You guys, I'm all in for this NIL conversation. But do you believe we need to legislate NIL? Do you believe? Jake wasn't ready. Do you believe that we need? Do we need Donald Trump to save college football? Because this round of golf with Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, I don't think is minor. I don't think it's just two dudes who are friends playing golf on the weekend. I don't think that's what it is. So let's run through some comments. So here are the questions I'm asking you directly. Do you feel like college football needs to be saved? I can't get down with that.
It's
I
just
don't.
so dramatic.
It
needs
is.
to be
It is
saved.
very
Like,
dramatic.
What is this, Cinderella? Like, come on, bro. Like, what, like, how dramatic are we going to be with this? I mean, at some point, there has to be, we just have to be honest. Like, I don't think that college football needs to be saved. I think we need to work out the wrinkles in the rug, if you will. We need to, we need to get the hose lined up straight, right? Like, we need this sport to run more smoothly. That's what we need. We need money to flow through the sport more smoothly so that everybody from Jimmy Bob the gambler to private equity hedge funds to, whoever, they can all benefit. And obviously the athletes. So I don't think it needs saving. What I think it needs is tweaking. It needs tinkering. That's what it needs. And I think if we can sort of find the middle on that, if we can sort of work through that and find good solutions, because I feel like that's the struggle we have. Like, we need pragmatic, logical thinking solutions in college football instead of just saying things like, oh, well, the federal government just needs to get involved in everything and make sure that they work everything out. Well, that's not really a solution. That's sort of a, hey, we're going to put this big label on this issue and say that, yeah, just hand it off to the federal government. They'll be fine. They'll figure it out. Like, no, dude, what we need is leaders in the sport to say, all right, what works? What works? What's the fix? What's the need? And how do we get this done? Because ultimately, getting to the finish line is the biggest thing. And I don't think, I know it's not definitive as to whether the G5 or the lower end SEC school or Big Ten school or whoever you want to look at is, in a place where they can revenue share and they can participate. And that's why I would agree this deadline's going to get pushed back, because now we got to figure out, okay, well, how can we get the masses involved in revenue sharing? How can we make this work for everybody and make the system better? And if that can happen, if there's a solution to be had there, then it will be figured out. But I don't think that, Donald Trump and Greg Sankey hitting a white ball around green pasture is going to go ahead and solve all of the problems. All I think that's going to do is create a relationship there where when Greg needs something, when Greg goes to people in what he refers to as in his room, he can say, okay, I've got the president on our side. He's willing to help us. How can we leverage that relationship? That to me is what I think this is about. Donald Trump clearly has shown some interest, but ultimately this comes down to, leaders in college football and others putting together a plan that works for everybody. And that's where I say we don't need the government, all in every crevasse of college football, if you will. What we need is good, solid solutions out of leaders in college football. That's what we need.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just don't know that's available. I'm not sure. Phil Penzer, I'm dealing with a blood clot now. My A1C is 6. Ooh, I hope you get better soon. Eric Wasikowski, Michigan has a $19 billion endowment. UNLV can't compete. I don't know. Is it appropriate to say they can't compete? Is that what we're? I don't know that UNLV is not trying to compete with Michigan. I think that's the thing. It is, to me, $19 billion. Hey, that's great. But right now, I mean, how many scandals are you dealing with at Michigan, though? How good is that $19 billion? Jake and I were sharing a story today. I can't remember what it was about with Michigan, but what was that story about today?
They had a private security firm.
Yes, following
after their students.
Yes, following protesters around campus, and it like there's just weird stuff that happens at every campus. But I'm telling you, UNLV doesn't need to compete with Michigan. One game a year they need to compete with Michigan, and that would be only if they met in the national championship. Is it likely? No, it's not likely. Jay Brannon, in my opinion, college football doesn't need saved. It just needs to go back to the conference made up by regions instead of greedy people.
But that's our country, dude. Our country, it's a capitalistic society.
Yeah. Reister JP, Texas State is the sixth best team in Michigan. They're never getting away from that comment. Texas Tech has a $50 million NIL war chest. Poughkeepsie State can't compete. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. Do you guys really think, I don't think UNLV is trying to compete with Michigan any more than, Wyoming's trying to compete with Ohio State. Like, I just don't think it works that way.
No, I don't think that conference leader or school leaders are like, oh yeah, we're trying to, we have this much money in our NIL fund. Let's try to compete with the big boys. I don't think that's what they're doing. They're more saying, hey, like, we have this much money. This is what we can do. It's the same thing as what Utah's doing, right? Utah at $34.5 million worth of spending is saying, hey, yeah, we have this much money. This is what we can do. This is what we want to do. And this is how aggressive we want to be. Like, it's that, it's that simple.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think that one of the biggest questions I have is, does college sports need saving? And I think the answer is no. And I think it's very interesting to see exactly how all that will play out. And I have no idea. At the end of the day, I do not have a real grasp on how college football or whatever gets saved. I don't know that anybody does. Does Aaron Rodgers need saving? Apparently he's married as well. We'll talk about that after this from Prize Picks.
Yo, you think Dallas' Power 4 gonna drop 30 tomorrow?
Boy, you tripping.
Did you see his mom made a post about going to the game?
What? Hold up. His mama gonna be there?
He's been averaging like 34 points a game when she's there.
At least 40 when she be on that Jumbotron.
He don't like to let his mama down.
Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Cash in on your sports fandom with Prize Picks.
Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show. I think it is very interesting that things like Prize Picks has made a huge difference in revenue in sports. I think it is. You look at we were talking about the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how all of that plays out. But the answer is I have no idea. I think that when you look at daily fantasy, is daily fantasy good or bad for college sports?
I mean, I think that gambling in general, pros and cons, right? I mean, we've all heard the endless stories of Buddy, the athlete, getting in trouble for gambling. Daily fantasy, I think, is up that alley, but I think it's, I've always been a believer that, it's two different things. Like, if you have a bookie and like you're placing bets in Vegas and you live in New York City, that's a different level of commitment than doing Prize Picks or whatever your cup of tea is in terms of daily fantasy. I just think it's two different levels of commitment. And I also think that, fantasy football is a totally different level of commitment than just daily fantasy is. And that's where I say
a big difference.
Yeah. That's where I say, I don't think for most people, the Prize Picks type situations are bad. I think that it makes for great conversation at the office. I think, it brings communities together. I think people love saying, oh, well, hey, man, what'd you do on this? And that's what we do on the show every day, right? I mean, that's what, it happens in our members only group. Like, people love to do the, hey, Caitlin or Angel Reese is going to miss, her first shot every game. Like, people have podcasts dedicated to that singular event happening now. Like, so yes, I think daily fantasy is good for college athletics and athletics in general, but I think it's a very slippery slope. The moment you get into, hey, I'm putting up, big time cash, in Vegas or at a major sports book, and that's my rent money. Now we're kind of in a different place.
Correct. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I just don't know. I don't know where it goes. I know where Aaron Rodgers is going though. How do you guys react to? I'm sure Jake is going to be incredibly negative about Aaron Rodgers today. I know that's crazy. But Aaron Rodgers today met with the media in Pittsburgh and kind of dropped some craziness, including the fact that, he's married.
Is that an Oura ring or anything else, that wedding ring Yeah, it's a wedding ring.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long ago?
It's been a couple months.
It's been a couple months, Aaron, and we don't know who Aaron Rodgers is married to. We know one of the people he's married to is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I wouldn't say it was super clear cut. I didn't want to shortchange the guys and be, sign, but be elsewhere mentally or physically. So until I could be here and be all in, I needed to take care of my business.
Yeah, and listen, I don't necessarily have a problem. I don't think that as much as I hope that Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the marriage thing is the perfect example. Am I the only one who thinks it's incredibly weird that Aaron Rodgers has been married for several months? We didn't know, and we still have no idea who he's married to.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guy that he is. And again, for the record, I don't need to know who he's married to. I just think that as a person, like you would agree, I know you would agree with this. If I just showed up one day married, you'd be like, WTF, dude. What the hell? Like, that would be the reaction. And I kind of feel like that's what the reaction of the media was. Like, hey, bro, you're wearing a ring on your your wedding finger. Is that a wedding ring? And he was just so like smug about it, nonchalant about it. And, and listen, again, generally speaking, I'm all good with athlete privacy. But what we notice is with quarterbacks, it's kind of a different set of standards because quarterbacks are typically the face of the team. Most quarterbacks in the league, who their wife is, their wife, we've done this whole thing where, the top cut quarterbacks, their wives all have clothing brands now and are doing all kinds of things. So I don't know, man. I think that, yeah, it's weird. I mean, I do think it's a little weird, but Josh Allen got married over the offseason and it was all over Instagram and it was all public. And so did Aaron Rodgers and it wasn't. So I don't know. I try not to hate on the guy, but he doesn't really help me avoid that.
Yeah, I guess not. I think it's really interesting that Aaron Rodgers is somebody that most people don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I understand that. Most people do not like Aaron Rodgers, and I think it is very interesting to me that I listen to Aaron Rodgers, listen to him talk about why he chose the Steelers.
I think it starts with Mike Tomlin. I mean, I've been a fan of his for a long time. There's a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. There's something special about, obviously, this area. So many great quarterbacks are from Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh has been a part of my career from the beginning, playing for Mike McCarthy for 13 years. Having Tom Clements, or Tommy Clements, depending on how old you are, as my quarterback coach forever. Don Capers, Kevin Green, Darren Perry, Ben McAdoo, Frank Signetti, Luke Getsy. I don't want to forget anybody, but a lot of Yinzers in my life.
I don't want to forget anybody. I mean, how do you feel about this? How did this press conference strike you today?
I mean, I thought that, I appreciated that he was honest about some of it. It drives me nuts when Aaron Rodgers says things like, oh, well, I had to handle my business and go through my process. And, I had to make sure that, I worked through some things. He does that whole vague, he acts like the sky was falling in the offseason. And it was reported, not that we'll know if it's factual or not based, from what Aaron is saying, but it was reported he had some death in the family and there were things that he went through, but we'll never know what's true and what's not true because Aaron doesn't publicize anything outside of the fact that he does ayahuasca and he goes on, the Joe Rogan Experience. I mean, honestly, if you think about what this guy does publicly, that's pretty much it. He plays football. He goes on Joe Rogan's show and he does his retreats. Honestly, if you think about it, that's what this guy does. I mean, Pat McAfee, he does a couple of other, shows or podcasts, but when you say what do you know about Aaron Rodgers, bro, I don't know that much about Aaron Rodgers. All I know is I see this guy on podcasts. I see him playing games with the media typically. And I don't feel like he played a lot of games with the media today. I felt like he was pretty honest and, pretty straightforward in what he was saying. I will say, to make an effort to be fair to Aaron, I have always appreciated that Aaron Rodgers keeps the conversations he has with his teammates private. I appreciate that about him. I think his teammates probably appreciate that about him. We've seen drama play out in other locker rooms with other quarterbacks and other guys. So I don't know, man. I think that it was a good press conference. I think that it was, not as weird to see him in Steelers uniform colors as I thought it would be. But, overall, again, it's going to come down to the performance. I will say if you go on YouTube or you go on X and you look at the video of him running around practice or, just how he's moving, I actually feel like he is moving better than he did last year. He's not favoring the leg. There's no hesitation. There's no it doesn't look like he's got to kind of take his time. So I don't know. I think he's fine health-wise, but you're never going to hear me say that this is some great dude. I think that his privacy, his commitment to being private and to I guess seemingly trying to be outspoken at the same time makes him a weird dude. And that's hard to get around.
Here's though Jake's favorite Aaron Rodgers video, which is a spoof. This is AI. It is not real. And Jake could not wait to hit me with this, to tag me on Instagram with this.
Message to Steelers fans. I hope you're ready to win 6 games next year because I sure am. Pittsburgh's paying me half of my contract in Bitcoin and half in DMT. I can't wait to bring all my shitty wide receiver friends to Pittsburgh so they can combine for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I promise that for every touchdown pass I throw, I'll tweet at the FBI to release the Epstein list. The only difference between me and Mason Rudolph is I would test positive for psychedelics. Instead of going to the playoffs next year, Steelers fans are going to learn how aliens built the pyramids. After talking with my spirit guide, Shabu, I've decided becoming a Steeler is how to best help not just myself, but America too. I'm finally teaming up with a coach that's just as mid as me. Me and Mike Tomlin could win 8 games next year. And after we both get fired, we're going to run the CFL. I wanted to drag this out long enough for people to stop caring. Looks like it worked.
Bruh. Now, hang on, because he did joke about, his ayahuasca stuff. And so what do you say to this then? Do you guys know who that is?
Well, that's Aaron Rodgers, right?
No, that's Victor Wembanyama.
What?
He's living at with a bunch of monks in China. I kid you, you guys.
Whoa, sorry.
I kid you not. I kid you not. Victor Wembanyama, the guy you all know and love is the greatest basketball player ever, quote, has begun his journey of an ancient Buddhist tradition called Vasa. And he is going to live the monk lifestyle at the Shaolin Temple in Henan Province, China. He has shaved his head. He is only eating vegetarian. And this is so that he can begin this journey of interdiscipline, focus, and mind-body harmony.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now,
here's
the deal. Here's the deal. Instant benefit of the doubt because he's not doing drugs, right? Instant benefit of the doubt. He's not doing drugs.
He's not using ayahuasca, bro.
He's not doing drugs, so that's number one. You know what I mean? But number two,
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I think that again, this concept of is Victor Wembanyama ever the face of the NBA?
No.
Aaron Rodgers undoubtedly was the face of the NFL at different points in his career. And the difference is that Aaron Rodgers knows that and that Aaron Rodgers exploits that. And again, 9 times out of 10, I don't mind when dudes do that. If you're the best in your league and you're the best in the world at what you do, I don't have a problem with you letting people know that. I don't have a problem with that, bro. Like, you're the best at what you do. You've earned that. But the difference is that Victor Wembanyama is not nearly the best player in the NBA, is not nearly the face of the NBA. And frankly, I don't know what, like, dude is French. With all due respect to our French contingent on the show, y'all are a little different with some things. You guys do some things a little bit different. And to me, doing this is not what I want out of VW. I'm going to be honest with you. This is not what I want. You know what I want?
I want him to dunk a ball.
I want him in the weight room.
No. Wait. I want him to shut up and dribble.
Yeah. Can you shut
up and dribble?
And dribble? I don't care if you shave your head or not. but if you're going to shave your head, let's just go full, head shaving bit and shave your head.
Come on,
do
this
the
is
LeBron
amazing.
video from the gym and just get your ass in better shape, dude. I mean, I don't understand. The one thing I will say is I don't understand why athletes can't just get this right. Meaning, why can't you understand that you're 2 years into the league now, like?
But this isn't. Wait, and
like,
here's the thing that I ask. And I'm asking this from a place of unbelievably harsh judgment. Are the San Antonio Spurs happy about this? He is going to spend the summer living with monks in China.
What?
And he is eating bros. And I'm not even joking. Is he a monk or is he bro, that looked like, these are not flattering, man. Am I the only one who just thinks this is craziness? And I understand you want to go do your Miyagi thing. Hey, bro, you do you. But you can't tell me that this is good for his NBA
Let
career.
me say the same thing about this that I said about good old Stephon Diggs. You are paid millions of dollars to be the best basketball player you can be. And we talk all the time on this show. People complain in the comments. We talk about it on the show. Hey, the NBA's got a viewership problem. NBA struggling with viewership. NBA finals are not being seen. People aren't enough people watching, and they're not.
They're not.
Your alleged Jesus Christ of basketball is going to Buddha camp for the summer when he should be in the gym, in the weight room, in the recovery room, and staying his ass in bed sleeping and doing it all over again the next day. And I understand. Listen, I understand. Dude's getting, I don't know what he's getting paid on the rookie deal. You could look it up if you want, but you're getting paid millions of dollars to play basketball, and you want to spend your summer after you were on one of the worst teams in the league? You want to spend your summer at Buddha camp?
And you were hurt?
No, this is unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable. And what started as a pre-show joke with Aaron Rodgers and Buddy in the Buddha camp has now turned into, hey, bro, maybe you shouldn't be at Buddha camp, praying that you don't get injured. Maybe, I know, God forbid you would work on your craft outside of the season. You should be working on your craft in the summer.
Now, see, Giggity is going to say what I said because, one, he's a member for 29 months.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. And Giggity, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Big Daddy Magic's obsession has Wemby hiding with the monks.
Giggity, are you reporting from LA, bro?
No, he's reporting from China.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, my bad.
But
Victor's the way.
Big Daddy Magic, where are you? It's a little crazy, isn't it?
This is your beloved.
It's you guys, you can't tell me this is good for basketball. Maybe it's none of my business. Dudes, I'm here for it.
Nope. Not letting you do that with VW, dude. I'm not letting people say this is none of our business.
And here's why the Aaron Rodgers thing matters. Oh, Aaron's a freak. He's in a hole, crapping himself in the dirt. Okay, he's high on ayahuasca. Victor's doing this of sound mind, it appears. Shaved his head, is eating vegetarian. I'm guessing he ain't working on that J. I'm guessing he's not. I don't know what the monks bench, but I'm guessing they don't have a full weight room. Could be wrong. I've seen The Dark Knight. I know how those dudes live. Probably too much. But it's a little strange to me. TJ Beck, what happens to the league? Say there's Pac-12 where 2 schools opt into revenue sharing and the rest don't. Does the league dissolve? No, not at all. It just means that those other universities will pay severe consequences when it comes to recruiting. Because you and I both know, I would assume Boise and San Diego State are going to opt into that money. On what level, we'll see. But nothing's dissolving if you opt out. Just so we're all on the same page there. It's not like somebody comes and burns your stadium down. Today's show is fire, Jeremiah says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, behind the scenes, we've been having some weird technical stuff going on. Like, I don't...
Can never just run smoothly.
It can never... Lately, I don't know what the folks at StreamYard are up to, but you guys are making my life very difficult. Luis Enriquez for $2. Learning Shaolin meditation will help his game.
Yeah, whatever, dude. When his ass is hurt 20 games in, you remember he went to Buddha camp instead of, training camp.
You know, he's in China.
Good joke, dude.
You guys, and I don't know, maybe Donnie sent him out. Maybe Donnie was like, nah, you ass got to leave. I don't know. But he does not, this is not normal. And I'm all for, you guys know that I'm a big believer in discipline, and I actually am somebody who believes in meditation. I went on a hike this weekend, and it was lovely to spend some time in nature. Totally get that. I'm not paid over $30 million in salary and endorsements to go hang out with the monks in China.
You're not the face of an NBA franchise and allegedly the face of an entire league.
I think that's the issue. Honest to God, I think that this is not improving him.
Dude, I get it. If you'd said to me, hey, he's going to Buddha camp for a month.
Did you say booty camp?
Buddha camp for a month. Okay, I'm good with that. Your first month of the off season? Okay, I'm good with that. We can work with that.
Yep.
Hey, you want to take 4 weeks off? Totally get it, dude. Perfect. You're not taking the entire summer off, bro. Like, who the hell do you think you are? This isn't the Euro League anymore, dude. Like, you're not the best player in this league. You're not. Like, in your team is somehow, in the running to land Kevin Durant. So that's cool. But dude, I'm not sitting here being like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. Like, this guy should be, this guy can get away with taking the entire summer off. I don't know any NBA player.
I really don't.
That can afford to take the entire summer off.
None.
Like, we're willing, and this is what really drives me nuts about this stuff. We're willing to call Luka a fat ass and say this guy's got to lose weight. And we're going to criticize Luka to his grave for being overweight. But then this dude over here goes to Buddha camp for an entire summer and nobody says 2 words. No, I'm not having that. Not on this show.
No,
that's unacceptable.
You are here for the
unacceptable.
For the lobbing of bombs at your guy VW.
And by the way, while we're talking about, give Aaron Rodgers some credit. He does look like he's in good shape.
Whoa! Let's not watch the inflammatory statements. You are. What are you? Are you having a stroke? Hey,
sorry.
Call 911. Jake's having a stroke.
Sorry, dude.
Are you okay?
You know what happened? I took too much pink cocaine before the show, and that's why my take is all messed up, dude.
Okay, so is that where we're?
The problem?
Are you indicating that's where we're going?
So, in other NFL news, finally Stephon Diggs decided to show up to work, and of course, the first question he was asked was, "Hey, Stephon, hey, buddy." What was in the pink bag? What were you handing out to your girlfriend's friends who were calling you daddy and flirting and hanging out with you on a boat in a bunch of bikinis while you were looking like the shredded god of the boat? What was in the bag, dude?
And Jake just wants you guys to know that there's no fun to be had as a professional athlete. I don't have that video, by the way, if we have it. I'm just telling you now that I don't see any way possible that Jake can have fun. Because Victor Wembanyama is the new Aaron Rodgers, and Jake now all of a sudden likes, okay, Pedro Serrano of basketball. Do you know who Pedro Serrano is? Major League. I agree. Kiss the bat, right? Has been $20.5 million is the revenue sharing cap. Utah cannot go above that number, right? But if we have to explain it. Anyway, we'll get back to revenue sharing. It makes me crazy that people, you're not wrong, but the point is that Utah is all in to make sure that they revenue share at the maximum level and they compensate their athletes at the maximum level. That's the whole point of, I think that's their whole PR blitz, beginning and end. Eric Wasikowski, I seriously think Cade is the future and only one serious about competing. I'm telling you, if Cade gets out of Detroit, he's going to be a monster.
Well, it's the conversation around Devin Booker, right? I mean, we've talked so much about Devin Booker and this contract he signed, right? You want to talk about young guys that are, competing to be the face of the league. Like, Book is supposed to be this guy that, it undoubtedly is one of the better players in the league. No question about it. I think he's by anybody's metric, he'd be top 20 in the league. And by my metric, he's top 15. No question about it. Now, he's got some winning to do. Totally get it. Totally understand it. But at some point, these guys have to want to win championships. And with all due respect to Victor Wembanyama, that's not championship material. That is not championship behavior. That is, I'm paid, I'm super tall, I'm one of the best in the league already.
I'm super tall.
I don't need to worry about this, bro.
Hey, I'm Victor Wembanyama, and I'm super tall.
Yeah, that's what this is, bro.
He is super tall compared to the Monks.
And so, what bothers me is, if you think about it, this guy went on a victory tour before he joined the NBA because he knew he was going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft that year.
Yes.
And he's been what exactly? Yes, fun to watch. Hey, cool. Yeah, the guy can dunk. He can shoot it. Like, he can play. I get all that. I'm not saying he sucks. What I'm saying is there's a difference between playing at the level you can just by showing up and playing at a championship level because you have that mentality about playing basketball. And that guy clearly doesn't have that mentality, or else you wouldn't be at Buddha camp for an entire summer, dude. Come on.
I don't disagree. And, listen, I think I don't dislike Victor Wembanyama. I think that he is a guy he's a guy that's always ready to go. I'm certain that whatever he's doing, and I hope you guys know I'm being serious. Victor Wembanyama shaved his head, and he is spending significant time with monks in China. I don't judge him for that. I'm all about the meditation thing, right? He had better have a huge year, or he will take major heat for this. And if we're going to rip Aaron Rodgers for the ayahuasca loose bowels in a dirt hole out in the jungle thing that he's so famous for now, you guys, do you hear the words that I'm saying? These are real stories. Yes. Your starting quarterback lives in a dirt hole in the jungle all summer. Like, that's where the world has come to. And I am of the belief that Victor Wembanyama and all of the cohorts, I hope at some point there's normalcy to it. And I don't hate on Victor for this. I am going to assume, as one of the best basketball players in the world, that Victor will be ready to go when time comes. But Monty, no but Monties. Wemby traded his hairline in respect for a trip with the Monks. He very well could have done that. All right. I mentioned Rob Adams before, and from what I understand, Rob Adams with Thanksgiving Heroes also spends quite an amount of time in dirt holes, living in darkness.
That is right.
Rob, I don't know if you heard what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Go Aaron Rodgers. You do your thing, Aaron.
It is the craziest. Is that weird or is that normal? Oh, no. What happened? Wait. I lost your audio. Did we get muted somehow? Hello? No, now I can't.
I'm telling you.
And maybe today I heard him.
This is what happens when you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. See, you bring up ayahuasca and stuff happens.
I don't know. Wait, hold on. Let me bump him out. Let me bring him back in.
Hello.
Yes! Bro,
yes!
we have had the monkey wrench behind the scenes on this show, and people don't even know it today. So anyway, Are you an Aaron Rodgers guy? Or are you a football guy? Like, what's your take on this?
I am an Aaron Rodgers guy. I thought I was a Packers fan, but I realized I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan.
What do you think of him on the Steelers?
A Packers fan.
Come on. I lived in Green Bay. I earned my keep. It's a cold winter. You got to be a fan.
Got to be a fan of something. Do you like him in Pittsburgh? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know if I've decided yet. I'm kind of like that. Let's see what he does. If anything, he's a show. I feel like he's a surgeon. If you're going to get on the field with him and you got too many guys on the field, he's going to call you out. Like he's a technician.
Rob, I'm a Bears fan, so I'm well aware who owns the Chicago Bears. Not really the point here, though. No, it's not funny. It is actually really funny. Rob Adams with Thanksgiving Heroes. All right, good to see you again. I appreciate you wearing the glasses today. Because last time we were wholly disappointed you did not have the red glasses on.
That's right.
So again, reset. Thanksgiving Heroes, tell us all what it's all about.
Well, number one, thanks for having me on the show. Your listeners were such a huge support last year as we fed families. This year I have a goal. My organization has a goal to feed 3,500 families. That's over 228,000 pounds of groceries delivered right to their house. And I can't buy those groceries without support from people like you.
Wow. So how daunting, 3,500 seems like a lot.
It is
how
a lot.
daunting is that?
It keeps me up at night. I'm not going to lie. I think about it a lot. I think about the need that we have in our community is unprecedented. There's a lot of people that are struggling because prices are what they have become. And when I first started this, it was 1 in 10 kids were not eating unless they were at school. And now it's 1 in 5 kids.
Oh, dude, you live rent free in my head. We talked about you. We talk about you a lot. Like when we were raising money at Thanksgiving, raising money over the holidays, raising money this spring for kids over the summer. That 1 in 6 number.
Yeah.
I'll be driving, because again, I understand I live a privileged life compared to just about everybody else on this planet. I'll be driving to the golf course and I live in Daybreak. So we have a lot of green spaces where there are a dozen kids playing a kickball game and I will say to myself, man, 1 in 6 of those kids is hungry. So you're telling me now it's 1 in 5.
Yep. It's gone up.
That's wild to me that 1 in 5 kids is hungry. And the hardest part for me, something else you talk about, we'll likely never know who that 1 in 5 is because it's not like they have signs on their back that says, hey, I'm hungry. Don't know where my food's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think that I've got daughters, and I know that one of them that's in my house, in my pool, I live out by you there, is probably hungry. One of those kids is probably one of the kids. And the thing is you can't tell by the neighborhood. You can't pull into somewhere like Daybreak and think, oh, these guys got it together. It's everywhere. I've delivered meals up in the most fancy neighborhoods because dad got cancer and they're pretty much living in the house until they're foreclosed on. It's a crazy thing.
And I think it's that invisibility that is so terrifying for people because and I don't blame anybody. I am guilty of this. We live very selfish lifestyles. Like we all have our issues. We got to get up, feed the kids, go to work, come home, feed the kids, go to bed. Like we live our lives. So how does that process work for you? And what does it mean to be partnered with somebody like the Advocates to help you on the initiatives that you guys are trying to achieve?
Oh man, I love the Advocates. Those guys. Can I tell you a quick story? I was in a motorcycle accident just a year ago. Someone hit me on my bike.
Oh.
And because I'm partners with them, I called them up and I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, we've got you. And they took care of things from start to finish. It was seamless. Took care of my bike, took care of my body. They took time to explain in very small words what's going to happen next. And I so not only am I a client, how's that go, the men's hair club thing? But I'm a huge fan of those guys, and they're showing up and they're doing good things in the community on top of being awesome for helping me out and getting me back on my bike. They're showing up at my motorcycle rally. They're showing up on the big day. They're helping me actually feed kids. And I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring up accidents and that I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how scary is that? You're on 2 wheels and everybody else is on 4 or 18. And you get into an accident. I mean, there's not a whole lot of places for you to go when you get hit by a car on a motorcycle.
It has got me thinking twice. I had a moment of of mortality that has got me thinking about that bike. The thing that's interesting is I was lane filtering. Are you familiar with lane filtering?
Yep.
It's totally legal if the speed limit is under 50 miles an hour to go to the front of the line on between the cars. And this gentleman was so mad that I went to the front of the line. He was the only one car before the intersection. And I kind of went up and I looked him in the eye. We were good. And then he decided that he was going to hit me. And so that kind of road rage, that's more troubling to me than anything else. It just seems like we're kind of in a world where we're on the verge of being crazy mad all the time, you know?
Did they catch him?
Yeah. He did not drive away. He stayed, but even still,
wow.
I was surprised at how quickly it happened. I was just, honestly, it was a beautiful day, minding my own business, and next thing you know, I'm laying on the ground.
And how fast does it happen, man? Like
seconds. Yeah, seconds. So when the
Thanksgiving Heroes and what you have worked so hard to achieve with Thanksgiving Heroes, the stuff we take for granted means everything to somebody else. And I think like going into this summer period where kids who rely on school lunch programs, or it's just that stuff we don't think about. So tell me about your motorcycle rally.
So on the 12th of July, we're getting together at the American Legion 112, and we're going to ride our amazing ride together with a bunch of motorcycles. It doesn't matter if it's a bullet bike or a cruiser. I don't discriminate if you're on two wheels, even if you're on one of those 3-wheel bikes. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to have a band. We're going to have a really good time. And the thing is that to raise the money to buy 230,000 pounds of groceries, it's not just a one and done. It takes these little efforts all throughout the year. We do a golf tournament. We do some concerts. We do a bunch of different things. But this motorcycle ride is in my heart because I'm a rider. And you see someone on a bike, they look rough, but most of those guys are teddy bears. They're good dudes, you know, for the most part.
Well, and I think that is true. I was actually going to mention that to you, that we don't think about bikers as humanitarians. We don't think about bikers that are raising money for hungry kids. Like, I wonder how many people understand, like, it's not a biker gang. Motorcycle clubs, I think, are one of the most misunderstood organizations across the country. Everybody hears motorcycle club and they're like, oh, the Hells Angels. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's not like that. You guys are actually out there in the community doing things like that.
Oh yeah. Almost every weekend you're going to see somewhere a motorcycle ride supporting. I did one last weekend for suicide awareness. It's all these riders have something dear and to their heart, and they are showing up at a high level and volunteering, which I wish that we could engage minivan. Get a minivan club together or a SUV club. Like, let's do this, because these guys they're covered in leather, but I'm not kidding. They are some good dudes.
Yeah, they are. I happen to know a lot of guys that ride, and it is one of the things that I think is crazy. But how do we contribute? What can we do to help you? Like, is there a website? Like, how can we help you with this rally?
If you go to thanksgivingsheroes.org and the events that's right there, I would love to send you the link so that you can include it on your page if you would like. Sure. And it's wide open. And even if you don't ride, come down and get some barbecue and listen to the band. And the thing that I like about this is Thanksgiving Heroes has kind of turned into a movement. Like, these people, they know that if we don't do it, no one will. We're here to support and to do the right thing in our communities. And it's the kids, regardless of color or creed, we want to make a difference in their lives. And it's not about the food. Last thing I want to say, it's about delivering hope. It's about letting these children know that there's more to life than hunger. There's someone out there looking out for them and thinking about them. And that's what we should be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think that story you told that has really stuck with me, when you look into the eyes of a parent who cannot afford to feed their kids at Thanksgiving, and you hand them a box of food that's probably for more than Thanksgiving, that is going to last them weeks, that could be the difference between eating daily and not eating 4 days.
Yeah.
The emotion on those parents' face. Kids are not, I think we just think kids are running around playing with Legos all day. When their mom's emotional, or when there's financial trouble, we've all seen that. Like, it impacts that kid. And when they see somebody like you, somebody like me, dude, I'm almost 6'4", and I walk up and I hand, like, when we were giving out food over the holidays, like, you see the look on those kids' face, like, wow. Like, you just see the light go on. I think it impacts them forever, man. I truly believe it impacts them forever.
I agree. I think the thing that's interesting about Thanksgiving Heroes is it's not just them receiving the food. It's now you delivering the food. It's about your family delivering the food. And they'll remember that. I have people that will say, hey, my kids asked. They don't ask about, hey, when are we going to go to grandma's or go do this? They're asking, when can we deliver those boxes again? It's significant. And they remember it.
When's your golf tournament? We happen to own a golf club or 7,000 here on the show. What's your golf tournament about?
September 18th at Thanksgiving Point. It is the most irreverent golf tournament in the state. I just want you to know, you got to show up and be ready to have a good time. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I hate that par 3 at Thanksgiving Point. I'm a Troon member. Troon manages Thanksgiving Point.
Yeah,
I can't hit that par 3 to save my life.
The drop down one.
Yeah, the one where it's like when either are there, there must have been a hurricane running through Utah because as usual up there, it was incredibly windy. I must have hit 3 5-irons that did not get close. Like, yeah, but
it was the wind. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but I love that course. I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving Point. So good. Well, hey, let's make sure we get you back on before July 12th to re-hit that. But I just want to say thanks, man. I really appreciate everything that you do. And I know that seems like something, well, we got to say thank you. I am dead serious, man. I drive down the street and I look at those kids playing in the fields and I say to myself, and not to belabor the point, we play at a golf course in South Jordan called Glenmore. And behind the 4th hole at Glenmore is a baseball field. Every time I stand on that green and that field is full, I am thinking about what you said about 1 in 5 kids being hungry. I kid you not. So I really appreciate what you do and how much money it takes. Do you have any idea how much money you have to raise year over year to feed 3,500 families?
Let me do the math here for you, just like a bunny.
Look at you.
Just about 300,000.
Oh my God.
That's all.
That feels like so much money. Dude, do it. I really appreciate it. You're welcome on this show anytime you like. We'll talk to you again before July 12th. Thanks for everything that you do.
Grateful for your time, fellas. You have a great day.
You bet. Rob Adams, Thanksgiving Heroes, you guys. It's no joke, man. And I know you're probably tired of hearing me say it. 1 in 5 kids is hungry. How is that possible in this country?
Well, I mean, I think that it's no surprise that food costs has gone up. And so there are more folks who are hungry. And that's really tough, man. That's really difficult to have to stomach and understand. And I think the other thing that is pretty obvious here is that, you know, and you mentioned it when we were talking to him, is like, you know, in the day to day, like we just kind of go about our lives and do our thing and go to work and go home. But the reality is this problem is not just, you know, just related to the holidays, right? This is not just a Thanksgiving problem. This is something that happens year round. And unfortunately, you know, the holidays exacerbate it, if you will, or bring more light to it. And that's where I say, like, dude, yesterday we had, I was looking through our comment section this morning. We had so many people talking about how this is a great community and, you know, we love to be part of this community. And, you know, that there was one person who said that the comment section on this channel is, you know, like a second family to them. You know, we have the power in this community to, you know, to raise significant chunks of money for these causes. And I hope that you guys understand that every time you donate to the advocates on Venmo, when we do those, you know, when we do those events on the show and everything like that, that money goes straight to these causes. And we don't take that money. That money goes straight to them. And that's why we prefer that you donate directly to them. That way it's just a seamless process. And that money clearly has gone to make, you know, major effect and change. And I know the folks at the advocates have shown us and told us that it does. So, you know, we have the power and we should continue to make that change.
And you can go right to thanksgivingheroes.org. There is a Salt Lake City button. There's a Salt Lake City tab there. And I believe it is SLC thanksgivingheroes.org/donate. Thanksgivingheroes.org. Click on Salt Lake City and there's a donate button there. $1, $1 million, whatever you guys can spare, man, because $300,000 to feed all those hungry kids is worth every penny of it. And this is why I tell you all the time, I'm so thankful the advocates are here. I'm so thankful that you guys have been able to feel the impact of that. And I'll put the link in the comments section. Rob was nice enough to copy the link into our chat. But here's the link to register for the ride. If you are in Salt Lake City, please do. You'll also notice it says slc.thanksgivingheroes.org. That takes you right to Thanksgiving Heroes in Salt Lake City. Please donate if you can. Go to the ride if you can. I have a feeling we're going to be golfing in their golf tournament now. Let's put a foursome together. Let's put multiple foursomes together. Let's make sure that we are making every effort we can to help Thanksgiving Heroes feed hungry kids. It's 1 in 5 kids is hungry, which is crazy. All right. Your thoughts are welcome. Jeremiah Sullivan Champion says Wakanda forever. Okay. Hey, man, that's cool. See, I step away for 5 minutes. I come back to the comment section, and you guys are now Wakanda forever. Like, I appreciate that about you guys. All right, a lot to get to. Why don't we just reset the show? As always, we are presented by the Advocates. Does college football need saving? Can the Pac-12 and the Mountain West count on all of their teams to opt in? Let's talk about that in 15 seconds after this from the Advocates.
Hi, Sarah. Your dad told me about your accident. Can you tell me how it happened?
Still kind of going through it, but I was stopped at a light, and then this car I heard it come up behind me, and bam, and it's kind of like in slow motion.
And that's exactly how it happens. You heard Rob talking about his motorcycle accident. It is just like that. And you need somebody who can think clearly for you. That's why at the Advocates, what do you get? Clear, risk-free advice. And you never reach into your pocket to pay the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. All right. If you're just tuning into the show, I think the biggest story in sports today very clearly is this, what seems to be the walls of legislation closing in on college athletics. We get the news today that Congress is working on legislation to, and how do I say this, to protect NIL, which I don't believe for a second, to protect the name, image, likeness rights of student athletes and for other purposes, which is the part I don't like about it. Jake, do we need legislation to protect NIL?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need legislation to protect it. I think what we need is legislation to prevent prevent and streamline the sport, meaning that we can't continue to have lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit plaguing the sport, because that's exactly what this has been, and I understand when, it's like what Greg Sankey said in the clip we play all the time about how change is messy. Yes, change is messy. It's clunky. There are always issues. There are always things that need to be worked out. But at the same time, now we have worked those things out. And now we need to get to a place where we can work it out and utilize this for an extended amount of time and do it in a way that prevents schools and entities from being sued. Because anytime someone's in litigation, that's not good for the sport. And so to me, we don't need large scale, federal intervention in college football. We don't need that. But what we do need is, in my opinion, just protections, and whether that's antitrust or whatever it might be, to make it so that schools can operate and follow the procedures of the House settlement effectively. Because ultimately, if there's going to be a kid, or if kids are always looking to get their money through lawsuits, that's just an issue. But other than that, I'm not for, hey, the government's going to crawl in every crack possible of college football and do what the government does, which is cause more problems. All I want is just to streamline this and make it easy to understand and protect people. And if we get that, that's great. And if that gets figured out while, Donnie and Greg Sankey are hitting a little white ball around a green grassy pasture, then that's great. But the reality is we need something that is a broad solution that works for everybody in collegiate athletics.
Yeah, and I still think that, you look at some of these things and you look at some of these issues. Greg Sankey and Donald Trump are going to play a round of golf together. And on the agenda on that round of golf is, hey, what are we going to do to make over college football? And we get into this legislation to protect NIL. You have UNLV today releasing a statement, or not today, but on June 6th, releasing a statement. UNLV has opted into the House settlement to maintain our competitive edge in collegiate athletics and continue attracting and supporting exceptional student athletes. And they also included what's next. Revenue sharing. In line with the settlement, a portion of our athletic department revenue will be shared with student athletes in our programs. Your engagement and continued support play a critical role in advancing our mission to graduate leaders. Compliance and legal oversight. UNLV is steadfast in ensuring Title IX and NCAA compliance, having developed contracts and crucial guardrails for responsible stewardship of resources, right? That's huge. Revenue streams, diverse revenue streams, including season ticket purchases, philanthropic support, sponsorship, concession, licensing, operational, etc. So the idea that UNLV is broke, apparently they can afford to opt into NIL and opt into revenue sharing. Essentially, opt into revenue sharing and continue NIL. I'm telling you, when you look at the Pac-12 and you look at the Mountain West, how many universities in those leagues will be able to do the same that UNLV did? I think that's a big question. I think it's a very big question. And apparently Michael Jarrett agrees because he typed in all capitals today and he paid us $10 to do it. The Pac-12 is reminding of a league that fills the teams in the SEC schedule at the end of the year to rest players and heal up before run to the playoffs. Sorry, Monty, I can't wait till scum is hit hearing over. Okay.
First thought, you don't turn caps lock off because it's just obnoxious.
And he paid us $10 more to say, I can't wait till scum is hit hearing over. Okay. Listen, I don't think the Pac-12, I don't know that I agree that the Pac-12 is in some desperate place. But you can't tell me that the Mountain West or the Pac-12 is on level ground with a P5. Frankly, I don't know currently who the best G5 conference is. Is it the Pac-12? Is it the Mountain West? Is it the AAC? I have no idea because I don't think we have any idea how stable and what's the right way to say it? How stable and how much forward momentum the Mountain West or the Pac-12 or the AAC or any of these other non-P4 conferences have. Because I obviously we just know a little bit more about the Mountain West and the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either one of them has forward momentum. I don't think either one of them is in a place where like, wow, we're winning. We're dominant. You're not dominating. And I think they both are well aware of that. I think it's why you saw Gloria Nevarez and her membership move so aggressively to add new members.
Yeah, I also think, though, that the big difference between the two is the bravado and pride that one of them has and the way they go about it. And I think that that's what, potentially will hold them back in the future. But it remains to be seen. I think the question of are either of those on par with a P4 is a foolish question. That's not even in the conversation or the stratosphere of the conversation. The question is, which one's going to thrive and which one 5 years from now is going to be in the driver's seat? Because I'm telling you, everybody besides those two are talking about why they're not merging. Yeah. That's what everyone's talking about. And that conversation, that piece of the conversation, in my opinion, will be timeless until that happens. Because the moment that the Mountain West and the Pac-12 merge, if that were to ever happen, you now become the dominant West Coast football option for everybody involved, whether you're a commissioner, whether you're a TV partner, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, right? It now becomes a thing where it's like, hey, well, they've got brands. Basically, they've got every brand in each time zone covered through what? I guess Chicago, right? With NIU, I guess, right? I mean, you're at that point a much more significant, situation. So that's why I say I've grown tired on the grandstanding with these two. I respect the Mountain West. I think that they were smart. They put themselves in a position to protect themselves. I think they did the right thing. It remains to be seen what the Pac-12 will do. It remains to be seen if the Pac-12 will ever realize any semblance of the glory days, because they're never going to be a power conference again. But can they rise to being the best G5? And I don't think that's possible until a merger were to happen, just because I think there's too much competition. That's the problem.
Somebody's going to have to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that's going to be, but there's not enough to feed everybody. There just isn't. G5 needs its own championship. I really think a merger with the Big Sky or Missouri Valley would be beneficial to the Mountain West. Those universities play at just such a different financial level than even the G5 does.
Yeah, I think the consolidation of the G5 or conferences like that is an inevitability in college football.
The G5 needs to form a super league of its own.
Yeah.
That model, right? Like everybody into a playoff, like into a regular structure.
It's asinine to think that the Power Four are one should have to compete or even concern themselves with the G5. Number one, I think that it's ridiculous to say, oh, well, billionaire business owner should have to concern themselves with the financial struggle
100%.
of millionaire business owner. Like,
yeah, 100%.
It's two different worlds, dude.
Yeah,
it's just an unrealistic expectation.
I agree 100%. It's unrealistic. I think that's exactly right. Is everybody on board with NIL legislating everything in college football right now? No, I don't think anybody's on board with it.
But I also don't think it's legislating everything.
I don't think it is either.
Yeah.
And I think that the problems for kids in NIL haven't even begun yet. I think we will see so many unintended consequences and maybe intended consequences of the House settlement. I don't think this gets better for the student athlete. I do not. I think you are seeing that. I think you are seeing that there is a growing momentum to limit the income that kids can make. And everybody tell you, you're crazy. Look at the revenue sharing. And okay. I'm crazy. That's fine. My belief is that they're going to make it more and more difficult, whether it be, hey, you have to run all your deals through the clearinghouse and we get to approve them. Well, is that really freedom? Is that really, I can do whatever I want to make money with my name, image, and likeness? Is that freedom? No, I don't think that's freedom. I don't think that's freedom. Well, we're paying you now. You're getting revenue share. Well, what does that have to do with me profiting off of my name, image, and likeness? I think that's what we're going to see. Big Blue Horses, you could take select parts of the Pac, Mountain West, and AAC and make a conference at a P4 level. Maybe. But again, this is why I continue to say what Eric said. The G5 needs its own championship.
Mm-hmm.
Putting a G5 team into the college football playoff, it benefits nobody. Because that G5 team, if SMU and Boise State are any indicators, you're getting rolled. You were in the ACC last year, SMU, and you got stomped. Like you got rolled. That was not a game. You look at Boise State, we had a really good year. That was not a game. You look at the lower level G5 programs, and I just continue to say this in the Pac-12. How many Pac-12 in the new Pac-12? Do you guys really think that Washington State is well off financially enough where they can compete when revenue sharing $20.5 million? Because I'm telling you they can't. And I think I just, how many teams in the new Pac-12 are going to be able to do that? When we put this graphic up here and we start looking at all of these questions about, NIL being at risk and how many of these teams right here can compete? Are you really going to make the argument San Diego State can compete financially in the California educational system? I'm not convinced of that. Utah State cannot compete. Washington State and Oregon State, I think it's assumed. Certainly Oregon State is well-heeled. They can compete. Gonzaga can compete. But do you tell me Fresno State and Colorado State can compete with the finances at a college football playoff championship level? Because what is the point of forming this new Pac-12 if you're not going to win a championship? If you are not competing to win the college football playoff, what is the point of forming the new Pac-12? I don't think there is another point. There was no other effort, correct?
Well, the point was, yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, if you have a conference, you want to compete to win the national championship, no doubt. But I think the point right now for the Pac-12 is to get back to power status. That's what everybody related to the conversation wants to say. And
so again, I just ask, okay, so whoever you add is the 8th full share member, Texas State or whoever, that university is not going to help your case to be a Power 5 conference. Right? I mean,
and that statement, unfortunately, hurts a lot of people's feelings, respectfully. And I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm being honest. Like, I think, you know, again, you know, I know we're just a little old Monty show, but the thousands of comments we get during non-live show hours tell me that people get pissy when you say, hey, you know, the brands in the Pac-12 as a combination, as a collective, are not strong enough together to justify an AQ. They're just not. And
the strength of schedule will not justify.
Yeah.
And that's what the other day when we were talking about, you know, on, I guess it was yesterday or Thursday when we were talking about Texas State. I get it. You don't like it. But Texas State doesn't add to anybody's strength of schedule. And again, I say UTSA is probably one of the few there that could do that. Memphis could do that, but it doesn't appear they're going. So I don't know what and I understand everybody's like, oh, we're going to be a power conference again. I hear it all the time in our comment section. Tell me what that looks like. Tell me what the path to being a power conference again in the Pac-12 looks like.
Yeah, I don't know.
How does that happen? Right? Oh, okay. We are in Texas. We can compete with anyone.
Okay. Hold on. First of all, that's a great joke. First of all, second of all, you're building a reputation for being one of two things in this comment section. You are either an elite troll, and if that's the case, I give you a lot of credit for living up to it. But if that's not the case, then you need to go and do some homework on some team in Arlington, Austin. And, you know, look at the other teams in the state of Texas that, you know, dominate, because you've got, you know, and we don't have time for it today, but we'll get to it. You know, you've got Phil Steele putting Baylor, I think, ahead of Utah in his rankings for top 100, if I remember correctly. You know, and Utah, I think, is sitting at 22, I think it was. I'd have to look again. Like, you've got people saying that the secondary brand in the Big 12 is going to be a lot better this year. Now, if that's the case or not, I don't know. But my point is that you can't honestly be sitting here saying that Texas State can compete with Baylor, let alone
Texas A&M
and Texas A&M and TCU.
Your argument that,
come on, bro.
What are you saying here? One of the largest universities in Texas by student population. Guy, you're not okay. Wait a minute. Listen, I'm all for you bloviating and BSing about your university. You do you. This is factually incorrect. If you look at the list of schools in Texas, Texas State University has not grown by any measurable number in the last decade. It's like 1,000 students, right? And you look at, according to publicly available numbers for fall enrollment, Texas A&M is number one at 77,000 as of last year. 79,000. UT Austin, 53,900. University of North Texas, one of your competitors, 46,900. University of Houston, 47,000. UT Arlington, 42,000. Texas Tech University, 42,000. And UTSA is essentially tied with you. You're both at 38,000. So this is factually incorrect. And I'm all for, and dude, I told you this, Texas State fanatic bro guy, whoever you are. I told you this last time when you came in here. I'm all for rational conversation. This right here is just factually incorrect and not rational. And I think it's cool and neat that you like to compare yourself, and I see all of the people who at Texas State that say, hey, we're bigger than Sam Houston. And do we really care that you're bigger than Sam Houston? Do we really care? You're the ones who say, that you're constantly competing with UTEP. Okay, cool. You're bigger than UTEP. What does that mean? Oh, well, we have a huge enrollment and you turn out 20,000 people to football games. And you're trying to tell yourself we're a P5 program. If I hear one more Texas State fan say we should be in a P5, no, actually you shouldn't.
What
you
evidence do you have to support that?
Like it's crazy to me that you look at the average Texas State fan. I found the average Texas State fan to be very realistic about where they are. And I'm good with that. But I look at this next statement there's a lot of comments where you talked about how you're on par and you have a larger enrollment than Baylor. One, do we all really care about enrollment? Because I'm here to tell you.
What is that? Respectfully, dude, it's just not.
You're not on par with Baylor.
We're not talking about education here, dude. We're talking about athletics, and I understand that education and enrollment rates and all that matters. I totally
think
get
Baylor's
it,
got 21,000.
But listen, man, I don't roll up to do the show thinking like, oh man, wow, Baylor's got 18 million students and Texas State's got 18 million and one. That makes Texas State better. No, dude, that's not that of course is not what we look at to judge a football program at any institution. So I don't know. Like I said, the foolishness, with all due respect of your comments, makes me feel like you're just trolling. And if that's the case, that's fine. But
you average 21,000 fans a game, and you're just this dominant program that's better than Baylor. Do you know what Baylor's home attendance number was last year? Do you have any idea? Hurry, get to Google, because I know off the top of my head, 42,300. You have 13,000 more students allegedly enrolled, and they're 2-1 football fans. You're not on Baylor's level.
And that's just one more layer. That's on an 8-win season last year, was it? I think. Like that's
in
not
an
even
average
like
season.
That's not even like a great season.
And I just continue to tell people, I don't have an issue with Texas State. I don't have an issue with UTSA I'm talking about business. You're talking about hype and fandom and irrational emotion. Texas State's a fine university. And if you want an education, you could do a lot worse than Texas State.
Agreed.
I'm talking about the building of a football conference that is largely dependent on television revenue to survive. And I am telling you, the Texas State does not move the needle in the ivory towers of TV networks. I've talked to the top of just about every network. In fact, every network. I have talked to the top of every pretty much streamer. And I am telling you, Texas State does not move the business needle. You're not traveling. You will not travel 5,000 fans to an away game. Do you really think 5,000 Texas State fans? Do you understand the numbers and the percentages of that? You average 21,000 fans at home, and you think that you're going to get 5,000 fans to go to the Palouse. That's not happening. So I'm all for the conversation, and I'm all for rational discussions about Texas State's football program. And I'm not here for you're a better university than Baylor, because you're not.
Yeah,
you're just not. You're not going to get respect by throwing out random numbers of Monty to Monty of all people. Like, seriously, with all due respect, man, I don't say a single thing off the top of my head. I don't guess. What you hear me talk about are things that I have been told, double verified, and researched on my own. I am not the guy who just comes up here and guesses and wonders. And how do you think we've been right on just about all of this? Because we're not guessing. right? We're not guessing. I know what Texas State brings to the Pac-12, and it's not television value. It's not membership value, and it's certainly not we're going to be a P5 conference because you're not.
Purpose.
The one purpose, and it is hugely valuable. The one purpose is you're a full member who plays football. And live in that.
Yeah,
that's
great.
Live in that.
But let's not get out of hand here, bro.
Stop. You got to stop with this. This is not helping you. Do you really think 60,000 fans watching a football game on TV is unbelievable? Man, you're hurting yourself. You're the same guy.
To his credit, he did say is good for us at the end.
You're the same guy who said you're the 7th largest university in the state. Like, that's not good. That's not good. 60,000 viewers. That's what, like, BYU, when they were an independent trying to get into a power conference, was doing 1 million views a week on ESPN. Now, you're obviously playing in a different end of the pool because they have the church, they have history, they've won a national championship. Like,
here's the point, dude. Here's the point. You're not gonna come into the comment section and say all these things and try to justify why you think Texas State is some incredible university. What you should be saying is Texas State might be, in the history of the Pac-12, the most important addition the conference has ever considered based on where they are. That's what you should be saying.
Yes.
You should not be saying 60,000 views is, quote, good for us. Nobody cares. What we care about and what any executive cares about is, okay, well, hey, what's the makeup of the conference? Do you have 8 full-time members? What are we looking at? How do we get back to relevance in the athletic landscape? Oh, hey, UTSA is not available. All right, great. Let's audible to Texas State. Texas State's a perfectly fine option to round out this conference. Presence in the state of Texas. Awesome, dude. That's what you should be talking about. That's what you should be talking about.
I don't know what's in the water at Utah. I seriously don't know what's in the water at Utah. Like, I love what they're doing. And I'm not a Utah fan. I am not a Utah fan. Mark Harlan, the athletic director at Utah, who I've asked 1,000,001 times to be on this show, and he has repeatedly no commented me. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you're missing out. Am I wrong that it is June 10th? Is my $1 million Apple Watch Ultra just not correct that it's June 10th? What happened? Look at Utah tweeting a Utah basketball post. We present to you the running Utes. They get it. I'm telling you, they understand
There's been a change.
Yes, and not a small change. And if you are in the Big 12 and you're a Big 12 fan, you had better be watching this.
Yeah, like what is
this is seismically different for Utah athletics.
Like, what did Texas Tech do on X today? How about we look at Texas Tech? What did Texas Tech do? Texas Tech release a video today. Texas Tech, tweeting about softball, Big 12 titles. No video on that.
What did Texas State tweet today?
How about Texas? How about natural transition? We'll go to Baylor. Okay, Baylor Athletics.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to their Twitter.
No.
Tweeted June 9th. What was that? Yesterday about the blackout game. Okay, cool. Sick 'em. Great. All right. Yeah, don't see no videos out of Baylor. Okay. Well, naturally we would have to look at BYU, right? I mean, obviously. And we'll go to BYU football because that's where they would put this out, knowing them. Yeah, no video on the New Day and NIL out of BYU.
Boy, here's an interesting statement from Texas State, and I'm being serious. David Coryell, the athletic director at Texas State. Don Coryell. Don Coryell, thank you. He's a name you probably ought to know. He's a famous, Don Coryell's a big deal. I was reading and speaking.
Yeah.
This is what college sports has turned into. Here's Don Coryell, the athletic director. Notice how he words this. At Texas State, we are proud to have anticipated this change, announcing publicly in March our commitment to invest at the highest level in this new opportunity. So are you opting in?
Yes.
Is it? Well, I think that's what that means.
Yeah. Yes, that's what that means.
I think that's what that means.
Wait, what does the rest of the sentence say?
Our plan empowers coaches with enhanced resources to implement revenue sharing, whether by offering expanded scholarship opportunities or by establishing institutional name, image, and likeness agreements directly with student athletes.
Yeah, they're opting in.
But what are you opting in at what level? With this monumental shift now finalized, Texas State is positioned to lead by embracing this transformative era with purpose, building on our championship foundation while continuing to prioritize the holistic development of our athletes. Hey, man, this is why I say I'm not telling you that Texas State is not able-bodied. What I'm telling you is that, and it could be Don Coryell Leone, what I'm telling you is that it's going to be very interesting to see what these numbers come out and how this all plays out. Yeah, Don Air Coryell. Yeah. Listen, I think but nobody's.
Yeah, I have to say.
You're detestable right now. Nobody was questioning your commitment ever. Nobody has ever questioned your commitment. Yes, go ahead.
I have to say, Texas State does work hard on their X account for athletics. I will give them that. They do a good job.
I follow them.
But again, I need to give Utah their flowers. I have yet to find, I've only been looking for 5 minutes. I'm sure it's out there. Dude, I have yet to find another university that's put out a video the way Utah put out a video.
Not one. Yeah, and I'm sure they're out there. It's fine. This is the problem with what goes on in college sports now. Is that we get delusional Texas State fan who thinks, hey, we're winning a national championship. You're how long would it even take if you go to the Pac-12? Do you understand that you're not going to win your conference? All right.
10 years at least.
How long until you're in the college football playoff?
You won't get into the college football playoff before it doesn't exist anymore.
That'll be interesting to watch. That'll be very interesting to watch. And I look at what's going on in the world, and I just tell you, I'm worn out on this NIL thing, so I'm going to make my prize picks now. That's a professional transition.
Nice job, dude. Really well done.
Now, I don't know how to say this out loud with a straight face because, again, Jake is refusing to put the Chicago Cubs on television.
Because it's not good for your mental health.
So I'm angry.
It's just not.
Well, no, what it means is I missed a Dansby Swanson home run, and I think I should get to hit you with a putter in the face.
Oh.
Well, and then the Cubs gave up a home run, and they're losing 2-1.
Oh, Angel Reese is available in prize picks tonight.
That's what I'm looking at. Angel Reese, 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I want the missed first shot thing back. 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. She's hit that 3 of her last 5 times. I don't know who they're playing tonight. They're playing the New York Liberty. We should probably look at this.
I'm going rebounds.
God damn it. Do I really have to look at WNBA?
Yes.
You guys, somebody save me from this life. Because I'm about to go look up WNBA standings. It's better than talk about Texas State. Okay, I'm a jerk. And I freely admit that.
Monty.
I freely admit
Monty.
that. Yeah, I'm going to say she's going to go less. The Liberty are 8-0. And I believe they're the number 1 defense in the W. Okay, we're going to go less. Excuse me. They're the number 1 defense in the WNBA. I'm going to go less on that.
Okay.
So Angel Reese
less.
Don't go with me because every time you go with me, it turns into Oak State James and
listen,
John Stone's cock.
I'll pivot into tennis. It's fine. Okay. It's fine.
Preston Stone.
Sorry.
Stay hard.
My bad. If you go to tennis, I'm disowning you. Just know that.
Dude, Maria Sakkari for 22.5 fantasy points in tennis. I mean, come on.
Okay. Here's one that I would like you to guesstimate on. Tyrese Halliburton.
No, you don't like him. He's not a good player. Why would you go with him?
Tomorrow, and I guess we can do this tomorrow. His number is 17.5 points. Yeah, I'm going less.
You're a hater, dude.
Major League Baseball.
Absolute hater.
Major League Baseball.
Baseball.
Cubs, Phillies.
Okay, clearly taking the Ohtani discount.
You're not. Cubs, Phillies. I have got Nico Horner for half a stolen base the rest of the game.
Nico.
Hey, Nico. Do you go Kyle Tucker, half a total base, currently 0? I'm going to go more on Kyle Tucker. Okay. I like that. And then I don't even know.
Adley Rutschman is averaging 2.8 total bases in his last 5.
So you're saying that you would go with the Shohei freebie?
I'm going Angel Reese less, Ohtani more, Adley Rutschman more.
Shohei always screws me.
Bro, it's half a base.
Yeah, but again, okay.
Against the Padres, dude's getting on base.
All right, here's what I got. I have Angel Reese less than 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I have Shohei Ohtani, half a stolen base, and Kyle Tucker, half a total base the rest of the game. 20 to win $8 million. Oh, no. Apparently, I cannot do that.
Okay.
With Kyle Tucker. God dog it. I cannot do that with Kyle Tucker. They have elected to eliminate Kyle Tucker. So I need another baseball.
Baseball.
Prize Picks, download the
Okay, what about pitcher strikeouts? What are we looking like?
I like pitcher strikeouts.
I usually do well in pitcher strikeouts. I know you find
right,
that
but
hard to believe.
you never do well
but
in anything.
You're terrible. You're awful.
Am I wrong?
You're Garbo, dude.
Am I wrong? Let's go Arizona, Seattle, because that series has been off the chain. I'm going to go total bases. Julio Rodriguez.
No, where's Corbin Carroll? Must be on here.
He is on there. Corbin Carroll is absolutely on there. Why do you?
Because he's just red hot. That's all.
Corbin Carroll is 3.5.
That's steep.
Total bases.
You don't want 3.5. That's too much.
I don't think
it's too much.
What about? God dog it. Everything on Corbin Carroll is either a demon or a goblin, and I hate it. How about 2 hits? I'm going to go. Ooh. He hasn't gotten 2 hits in a week and a half. I'm not going Corbin Carroll. I'm telling you right now, I'm not. You're not going to talk me out of winning on Prize Picks. We're going Julio Rodriguez.
Hey, Julio.
For 2.5 total bases. That's what we're doing. What do you think?
I mean, I guess that's cool. I mean, the Yankees have the Royals tonight.
The Royals?
Jack Caglione.
God,
he's terrible. He's awful. Screw him.
But do you hear the things that you say to me? Do you hear the things you say to me? Aaron Judge's Aaron Judge's total base numbers are ridiculous. And that's actually a really good rivalry. I'm going 2.5 total bases for Aaron Judge. Lock it in.
There you go. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in so we can cry tomorrow on Prize Picks.
Oh, we'll cry tomorrow on Prize Picks. I lost badly last night. Badly. So we're good. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account. They'll give you 50 more at Prize Picks. Is the wedding planner hot?
What are we talking about?
What do we mean?
What are we talking about?
Wedding planner, are you the bride?
What are we talking about?
Okay,
here?
what did I miss
What
here?
did we miss?
Jeremiah says, great show today. Got to go meet the wedding planner.
Oh!
The cack.
Oh!
So wait, you coward, Jeremiah.
Okay.
You can't drop, gotta go meet the wedding planner, and then just roll out of the crib. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't plan your own wedding. You write a lesson plan every week. What's the deal?
Dude, you can't tell us you're meeting a wedding planner and then just leave.
You fucking donkey.
You can't do that. That's not how the comment section works.
Yeah, dude. Well, who are you, James, getting to his 6 p.m. fake class?
Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. I mean, come on, dude.
Are you out of your mind?
Come on,
I
bro.
agree. Is the wedding planner hot? These are things we need to know. And you come back in here tomorrow, I want answers.
Hiscock.
Yeah. I don't know what that has to do. Oh, look who showed up. Big Daddy Tragic.
Well.
Big Daddy Magic, we got to have a talk.
What's going on with your boy, dude?
Shaboy is out of pocket.
What
Whatever this is right here.
What kind of lie are you going to tell yourself about what he's doing?
Bro, whatever this is right here, you need to get a hold of Victor and tell him to eat cheeseburgers. He's in China living with monks, eating a vegetarian diet and focusing on his inner discipline. So, I mean, and this is just my opinion, such as in like and stuff. Do you think that is what lends you to winning an NBA championship? Your inner discipline while losing weight and body muscle?
Listen, dude, I got news for you. Edamame is not going to turn this guy into an MVP, okay?
Yeah, he don't need soy. He needs protein.
Yeah. Come on,
He
dude.
needs protein. What are we doing with Victor Wembanyama here, dude? Homie's walking up and down mountains, and we're supposed to believe, oh, NBA championship, he's going to be the MVP. Look, he looks like he's in prison. My guy looks like, that quite literally looks like he is in the mess hall at Alcatraz.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Is he trying to catch up to Kevin Durant on the thinness scale?
My fucking head.
Are you serious with Victor Wembanyama right now?
What are we doing?
Come on. Jeremiah Champion, if I could load that comment. Hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
loading up is really tough, dude. You know,
You guys, the monkeys are throwing wrenches into the gears. Good Lord. Hey, Illumindursky, how are you? Jeremiah Champion, Jesus Christ, I only put the phone down for a couple of minutes.
yeah, I mean, be better, dude.
We want answers.
Yeah, so what's the deal, dude? Is
Why a
the
wedding planner?
planner solid or okay, lifestyle portion of the show.
Oh, God.
Okay, how much, Jeremiah? How much are you thinking of spending on the wedding?
Yeah, we need the deets.
Are we 4 figures, 5 figures?
Are you inviting your students to the wedding?
Yeah. Are you teaching your students how to budget by having them create a fake wedding budget? These are the answers that we need to know, dude. I mean, I know that financial literacy is not something we do in school because we want to create W-2 employees, but that might be something you include.
Dude, I am letting them go over here.
Bro,
You do not want this.
Bro, what am I supposed to do with that, dude? Like,
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
Okay, let's move on because it's not, Eric says, got to go watch the Tigers lose. Good luck with that. Usually there's one there's like a little one, and that was a big one. I've had a lot of fiber today.
Ain't no reset.
There is no reset. That's exactly right. So, and stop texting me that I'm going to lose. Like Angel Reese is coming through. You know it, and I know it. Cheeseburgers the way. Okay.
Well, who are you, Jim Harbaugh?
Fight on Natties. Why even meet up with the wedding planner? Your input doesn't even matter anyway. She's got to get what she wants. You're just a prop.
That's right.
That is not wrong. That is not wrong. Luis Enrique, watch out for the Shelin baller. Tell them, Big Daddy. Yeah, Big Daddy Magic, you're in real trouble here with Victor. You're in real trouble with Victor. This is not a good look for the NBA.
No.
I'm sorry if you're offended by that.
And it's the same day that Aaron Rodgers just out of the blue announced he was married a couple of months ago, and he's not going to tell us who he's married to.
And he didn't even announce it. He was asked why he's wearing a ring and then had to answer the question.
Yeah, did not announce it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand it. We're all a bunch of hyenas out here trying to rate your girlfriend 1 to 10. That's what we do, but you can't just drop it like that.
Is that an Oura ring or anything else? That wedding ring?
Yeah, it's a wedding ring.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long ago?
It's been a couple months.
Okay.
Don't you know who we are? What do you mean it's been a couple of months? Does that mean you guys were in the hole together on ayahuasca?
Okay, bro.
Can you repopulate the earth while high on ayahuasca?
Don't play intramurals, brother.
I don't know. That's an Aaron question.
I would be. Do you guys think I'm a terrible person. Do you guys think that you can deliver the product while hallucinating on ayahuasca?
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
You don't think so?
No. Okay. No chance.
You are not.
I think it's very interesting.
Because it's said that you're crapping yourself constantly.
There is supposedly explosive
no
rear
dude,
exit
on
ayahuasca.
It really hit me.
Yeah. Gabriel, Wemby better be averaging 50 points and 50
That's
rebounds
what I'm
next
saying,
season.
dude. Why are we at Buddha camp shaving our head, bro? What is this?
Yeah. We start the show with a secret Aaron wedding and end it with JSC going to meet the wedding planner. Full circle. That's what I'm saying. Would you ever pay for a wedding? Because you're getting pressured to get married now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even deny it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you guys talked about getting married?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Are you getting ready to get a ring and stuff?
Not yet. Not yet.
5 years?
No. Just sooner than that. Just not
5 weeks.
Yeah, it's yeah.
He said yes. I said 5 weeks. He said yes. See, he doesn't tell his friends anything that's happening. Well, because I don't want to hear it. Okay. Then what's the point of a no man? You know what I'm saying? I would not pay for a wedding planner, would you?
No, I would not. I'm not.
Destination wedding, or are you going back to Kansas City for hell?
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. My girlfriend doesn't want a big wedding.
I would not under any circumstance. I'm telling you right now, I would not under any circumstances pay for a wedding planner. And if I'm you, I am doing a destination wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't even playing, yo.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out for sure. I would love to do California, Hawaii.
No, Hawaii. You do Hawaii, you do Maui, you play Kapalua, and then you get married, and then you get drunk, and then you go to bed, and you're already on your honeymoon, and everybody leaves you the hell alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't deny that.
I'm telling you. You know people who own property in Hawaii.
Yes, bro, I know. I'm not saying that it's not there. I get it.
I think if I could go back and do it again, I would have a destination wedding.
The biggest. So here's the thing, though. The biggest issue isn't even we agree. We would love to do a destination wedding. We actually agree on pretty much everything with the wedding. The hardest part's going to be that neither of us want a big wedding. We're not interested in doing a traditional wedding. We're just not. But the hardest part is the people. Well, okay, how many people? Because she has loads of friends from her college days, and so it's
but there are loads of friends, and then there are
right.
She's got a couple of friends,
right,
that are non-negotiable.
Right, but what I'm saying,
you don't have any friends.
Yeah, I have one friend.
You're kind of a loser.
That's not.
So that's 3 people.
Right.
No, but in all seriousness, you could get away with 25 people. It would probably be family, friends on your side would probably be 15, 20 people.
Yeah. That would be a lot. Yeah.
On her side, I have no idea how many that would be. Too many. No, I'm kidding. You would probably be around 50 people. And I know this is crazy. We had a destination wedding in Hawaii a few years ago for my sister-in-law. Now, hopefully this time there's no hurricane that goes through, but you could easily.
We're at this wedding, dude.
Yeah.
This is
on Kona.
This is how committed we were to doing the show, bro. We were at this wedding and we had to leave. So before the wedding took place that evening, we had to leave to go get an internet cable that was a half-hour away and try to make it back for the wedding, dude. That's how committed we were, bro.
The internet there was not good. Not good at all. But my point is, you could do 50 people under a tent, have rent an Airbnb, and I would it's one of two things. I would do Maui, or you could do Oahu, because I think Oahu is a great wedding place only because Turtle Bay is there and Ko'olina is there.
Yeah.
So you could do Oahu or Maui. You could have 50 people under a tent, easily get it catered. You could do it for less than 10 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And between everybody chipping in, the family, like you guys probably won't have to pay for much of that. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Don't tell people you're getting married, right? Like, hey, I need to cater my wedding. No, to hell with that. I need Hawaiian food for 50 people.
Yeah.
We're having a party, 50 people.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like there are some older people on her side that, you know, there's some concern about travel and things like that.
So those people couldn't come to the actual wedding. Totally get it. You're going to go back and you're going to have a wedding reception.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out. It's not that complicated. We're just trying to figure out the best way to do it. It's really not like we both would like to do a destination wedding, and you know, like I like the Maui Oahu thing is totally facts. I would prefer Maui. That would be. I personally think it's the best island. I think it's, you know, that's just in my experience. I enjoy it the most. But I think that there are definitely two kinds of people in the world. There are the just spend outrageous amounts of money.
I'll never understand that.
Yeah.
I'll never understand it.
And then I think there's the other side of it where it's like, hey, you know, you're going to do basically only what you have to, meaning that you're, you know, it's kind of like what you were just saying, right? Like 50 people or whatever, like you're the closer people in your life, you know, are going to actually come to the event itself, you know, and you're just going to do low key, enjoy it, like that type of thing. And I'm definitely one of those people. I don't need, you know, I don't need to dance on a dance floor any more than I'm required to. You know, I don't need. I just don't. It's just not for me. And the great thing is I'm with someone who she kind of shares that thought and would rather enjoy it with her people in a more, you know, just like a more intimate setting. You know, like it's just you're on one side or the other.
I'm a big fan of not formal. Give me some. Give me my little linen outfit with some Jesus walk sandals. You know, give me some casual Hawaiian clothes.
Yeah.
Give me some dude who can say, do you? Okay, cool. Congratulations. Give me some food and let's all hang out in front of a fire. And I don't need tiki. I don't need dancer guys. I don't need fire dancer homie bro.
Yeah.
I need some food. I need some pina coladas. I need some lights and some music. That's all I need. That's it. And we can have a hell of a party. You got to find the right Airbnb to do that at.
Yeah.
Right. That's you got to do that. And you're going to have to pay.
My one lesson would be, not to cut you off, air conditioning. Have to have air conditioning.
Have to have air
Have
conditioning.
to have air conditioning.
I totally agree.
Can't skip out on air conditioning.
Yeah. Kona's ridiculous. A large part of my family likes staying on Kona with no air conditioning. And I've never understood it. Hell no. Right. I just can't do it.
But yeah, I am definitely not team massive wedding. I am team have the ceremony and then just have a bunch of fun afterwards and, you know, do your thing. Like
have a bachelor party 2 days before. Like it needs to be 10 days in Hawaii where you're just partying your ass off. About the 4th or 5th day, get married. Spend another week in Hawaii, come home and get back to your miserable laughing life. Right? That's it. That's the way the world works.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Don't get pregnant on the honeymoon. Everything's great.
Yeah.
See? This is not
life
difficult.
Lessons with Uncle Monty.
Very simple.
Right.
Very simple.
Right. No pink cocaine either. Just want to throw that in there.
If you like pina coladas, watching two holes getting married, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And no, none of you hyenas are invited. We're not that close. Okay.
Sergeant Green went to a wedding at Chevy Chase Country Club in Chevy Chase, Maryland. The family spent $150K. Bro.
Dude, what are we doing?
Most extravagant wedding I've ever been to. Dinner was filet and lobster. I've told you about the Indian wedding I went to, the Sikh wedding. Hell no. You know how much money that was just in outfits alone? My advice for you, Jake, is to take your time and don't feel pressured to get married quickly.
Yeah, but it hasn't been quickly, and I'm not. Pressure's the wrong word. How
long have you guys been together?
Going on 2.5 years now.
Do you guys own a house?
Not yet.
You guys have retirement?
No, not. What does that matter?
Because you want to set.
What does that matter?
Because you want to set yourself up. That's why it matters.
But what does that have to do with getting married?
Are you being serious right now?
Yes, I'm being dead serious right now. What does that have to do with anything?
The last thing you want to do is walk into a marriage with financial uncertainty. So when you get married, like I got married when I was almost 30 and I was broke as a joke. And how long I didn't buy my first house until 2013.
I'm not waiting until I'm 56 to buy my first,
right?
to get married, dude.
But no, nobody's saying that.
No, but my point is that's the average age to buy a house now. Like,
right. But you're not going to be in that position. My point is you have to put some barriers in place. See, you get all mad.
No, I'm not getting mad. What I'm saying is that I think that I don't understand the relationship between having bro, I don't have retirement. I don't like, and I'm not going to have retirement for probably
right. But you're working on a side hustle that should put you in that position, right? So you want to get that up and running, and you want to make sure that you have a bit of a nest egg. I would tell you, hey, if you can have however much money you want in the bank, I'm telling you that it is at least 6 months of FU money before you would ever get married. But hey, you do you. You want to be in a really good financial position before you tie yourself to somebody on both sides of that equation, right? Like you just get red ass.
I'm not getting red ass. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm genuinely saying that I don't think that's a position. Genuinely, I don't reasonably think that's a position I'll be in for probably 3 more years at least.
That's right.
Like,
and there's your timeline.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself in a position to have goals. You have to put yourself in a position to, hey, here's my focus. I want to throw my life away in 3 years. Let me build up to it. I said, throw your life away. Now, see, Jake is turned off and he's not here for the conversation. The point is, hey, in 3 years, you want to be in a position where you can afford to have 6 months of FU money tucked away. So you could, what's the line? A 25-year roof and a Japanese ship box out in front of the house. That's all I'm saying.
But here's my question for you. What is that? And again, I'm not being argumentative. I'm not even mad. I'm genuinely asking, what does that have to do with getting married? Because the whole like that would be ideal, sure. But no, God, what?
Tell me how great I am, Jake.
No, I'm not doing that.
Tell me how good looking I am.
I'm not doing that.
No, you don't want Aaron Judge on 2.5. Let me read you the latest tweet from Jeff Passan.
Mm-hmm. Let me guess, he hit a home run.
Aaron Judge just hit a home run that almost went over Royals Hall of Fame at Kauffman Stadium. Estimated distance, 469 feet. I've been to hundreds of games here and never seen a ball hit there. Yeah. Aaron Judge is on a mission from God to torture, to absolutely torture the Kansas City Royals. And I would just like to say that Aaron Judge is a god, because now I currently am winning because Aaron Judge has 4 total bases. Angel Reese, do not pop off and have a big game. And Shohei, I need half a total base. I should win tonight. Anyway, my point is, what that has to do is you want to walk into a situation on stable ground. Like right now, you have a lot of uncertainty in your life about direction and focus. And what you want to do when you're getting married is, I would assume, and this is just me, when you get married, you're looking at, okay, now we're together allegedly forever, but who knows in this country. But you're together, you're married, you're probably going to have 2.5, a dog and a picket fence, right? There's going to be expenses with that. There's going to be the fact that you're still, working a side hustle and building something.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that from a position of debt. You can't do that from a position of paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying before you lose your mind is, hey, you need to, before you get married, put yourself in a position where you can have a stable base that you can build from.
Yeah, and I think the hard part with that is that's never going to happen until it takes a long time to do that now. Like when you're like, people my age don't have the luxury of not being in debt and not having to basically just figure it out as you go. Like that's what I'm saying. Is that
you do though? You do though.
Yeah,
you do. You have a very clear pathway
Oh, I agree that I have a pathway. It's just a philosophical conversation.
I'm telling you, don't do it fast. Don't do it without real financial understanding. You just cannot do that, in my opinion, but it's fine. Boyd Lake says I should shut up. Don't end up waiting forever. Dive in, Jake. The water's fine. Hey, everybody's got their philosophy. ACC Gumby says we show up. Sergeant Green, the craziest parts is that marriage only lasts 11 months. The marriage only lasted 11 months.
What are we?
The $150,000 Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Johnny Gonzalez, love is love, money is money, and sometimes the two don't line up. I wanted to go back up here. Somebody talked about Gabriel. My advice is for Jake to take his time. Don't feel pressured. Yes, here it is. Illumin Dursky. I got married at a park that overlooks a local river. Invited 10 to 15 people that then had a reception at Buckhead's, all for less than $1,000.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you can do it any way you want.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is you have the means to have an awesome party, which is what I'm telling you I would be doing. That's what I would be doing. I am not the guy that's like, hey, put in a parquet floor and let's go to a country club and spend $150,000.
Yeah,
No,
I just don't get that at all.
Give me an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Let's get married in the backyard and let's do this thing. That's what I would be doing. Jeremiah Champion. Okay, so I'm $17,000 into the wedding. Yes, I'm inviting some of my students. Some of them are in fact going. Bro, what do you spend? You've already spent 17,
it really hit me.
17 GER on this wedding. You're a teacher. Where are you getting 17 GER?
Maybe he's got a side hustle.
Yeah, that feels like a lot of money. I would have no problem spending 10 grand on a wedding. When we get to next year, Mrs. Monty and I will be married 24 years. And I'm thinking about doing a huge party. I was going to talk to my wife about this next weekend when we're going on a road trip. Now I'm going to have to do it tonight because she's listening to the show, I'm sure. But I would love to have a huge party next year in Hawaii for our 25th wedding anniversary. And I don't know why we wouldn't do that. Not sure. Probably going to do that. RJ Loner Phone. I would love to go to my younger self and say, relax, have faith, it'll all work out. That's really tough to do in the moment because, and Jake is totally this guy. Millennials don't listen. One of the hallmarks of being a millennial is you do not listen to your older generation, your mentors, your parents, your grandparents.
Okay, let me ask you this question, though. Like, I think I have listened to a lot of the life lessons that you've given me.
Just not women or money.
Well, the car deal I just did says that I did listen to you, and I know how to work money, and I know what's responsible and what's not. Okay, tell me how it's not. Tell me how it's not.
The car deal's the car deal. You do what you do.
No, but see, this is the problem.
I would not have traded your car in yet. I wouldn't have done it. There was nothing forcing you to do that. Did you lower your payment?
No.
Did you save money in totality? Insurance? Couldn't have been.
Oh, it went up by $13.
Registration?
That was in the car deal. I didn't pay my registration on the Subaru.
But going forward, right? Registration will be more.
I don't know what the registration is. Yeah,
it will be more because it's a newer car. Like there was just no reason to do that at that time, right?
Let me ask you this: Do you ever say to yourself, "Hey, like this is what I would do," but maybe like just because I did it differently, it doesn't make it bad.
Oh, every day I do not say things to you for that exact reason. Every single day. I'm a big believer that, and I only know this now because I did not understand this until I was probably 35. There's a right way and a wrong way. And every time you pick the wrong way, the road gets steeper. Now, that doesn't mean you can't climb it and navigate it and everything will be fine. Because it will be. And you can. But car deals or relationships or how to spend money, there's a right way and a wrong way. 100%. And any of us that are in our 50s know that now. Because we fortunately, knock on wood, I can tell you, having bought and sold houses during the pandemic, made a F ton of money on it. Having done real estate, flipped houses right pre-pandemic, made really good money on it. Like, you do things the right way, you make money, you net benefit. Like, I had a chance a year ago to buy a Porsche Cayenne, would have raised my car payment $7. Did I do it? No, I didn't, because my insurance would have gone up. My registration was going to go up $76 a year. Like, I looked at it and said, no, I'm not going to do that. Right? There are right things to do and wrong things to do. I'm just a believer in that. And I think millennials are known for not listening to people. You guys make decisions for better or for worse. And I'm a big believer in this as well. You made a decision, deal with the consequences. Because what else are you going to do? Are we going to sit here and bitch about what you did? No, that doesn't work. You're not 15. You're 32 or whatever. Fuck it. Live your life. It's fine. Like, I think anymore, millennials have such a difficult road to navigate. We do no service to our millennial kids when we keep judging them and keep telling them, that was wrong. You fucked that up. Like, what is the benefit of that? There's no benefit in that. But when we're having a conversation and you bring up, well, hey, no, you're not. You don't do that. You shouldn't do that. And then the next 2 days later, you show up with a new car. It's like, okay, cool, man. You do you. I'm not going to judge you. Have I said 2 words about that?
No, but you're never supportive of any of the things. You don't say, hey, that's awesome. Like, you don't, if you don't,
but your
like
house,
something,
like where you're living, is a great example of this conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a fucking massive townhouse,
Mm-hmm.
like way too big for you, way too big. I told you, hey, it's too big, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't judged you for it. I haven't brought it up to you. I'm not constantly criticizing you for it.
Mm-hmm.
You made a decision. You got to live with it. You're the one that's got to pay the light bill, not me, right? You're the one who's got to keep it clean. You're the one who's got to, it's on you, your dog. Shouldn't have gotten a dog when you got a dog. You did. Now you got to deal with it.
But that's my point. There's never any, it's just not who you are, which is fine. You're not the guy that's like, you know, that even if you disagree with something, like you'll
no, because that's not doing you a service. I believe that when you make a decision and it's the wrong decision, because again, I'm very much, was it the right decision or the wrong decision? So very few, when you make a financially impactful decision, like getting a dog or getting a car or getting a house, there's very few things that you do where it's like, yeah, that's not going to matter in 5 years. Very few things. In this conversation, the house is really impactful. The car is impactful, and the dog's not really that impactful, right? Dog, you got to pay for dog food. You got to pay a vet bill. Cars depreciate at an incredibly quick level. You had a car where you were in incredible equity, felt like you should have held on to it. It's not my fucking car, right? And you got a really nice car that you've been oogling for several years. Cool. That's great. The house thing, I just think I'm just not the guy who's like, hey, good job. Way to go, buddy. You should have got a smaller house. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I think we looked at smaller places. We looked at, places that, were smaller, that made more sense for what our needs were, that were definitely overpriced for what they were. And, it was a situation where, the place we got, didn't raise our rents individually, certainly. But we just didn't save the money we could have saved by, getting into a smaller place.
Which is what I told you, right? Like, I didn't criticize you for the size of the place necessarily. My biggest point was you had an opportunity to lower your expenses.
Mm.
That's all it is. But it's not like I bring this stuff up to you ever.
No, but the hard part is that I think that, and I think millennials struggle with this, is that there's not really like I can't really name one thing where you've just been head over heels for, what it is, or like the decision. Like, there's not decisions I make that you would make, which is fine.
That doesn't mean they're wrong decisions.
But that's how you feel, is my point, is that I'm not really talking about the merit of whether it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is that just because you disagree or vice versa, if I disagree, right, that doesn't mean that, we can't, be excited or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
But am I not excited for you about your new car?
No,
I've asked you about your
new.
Yeah, oh, sure, I've been. I've asked you about your new car. Like, I'm not going to ride in it. It's too small for me.
Yeah.
Frankly, it is a tiny fucking car.
Yeah, it's small.
So
Which is fine. I don't have an issue with
yeah,
that.
I never rode in your Subaru anyway. But my point is, I've been excited for you. We've talked about your wheel. We talked about your tire. We talked about I'm not excited for you. The difference is, and again, I say this to Jake all the time, and you guys probably don't give a rat's ass about this, but I say this to Jake all the time. You'll understand this when you have a 30-year-old kid that is routinely making decisions you know he shouldn't be making. Until your kid is in high school and they refuse to do homework and they don't apply themselves. Until your kid is in baseball and he doesn't want to go and lift weights and he doesn't want to eat well. And that's when you start to understand, oh man, I remember when my dad used to drag me out to Marina High School and I didn't want to go and throw a bullpen, but he made me long toss that day. Man, I hated when he would make me run it at Los Lomas. Like, those are the times when you'll understand it, because when you're 50 years old and you have a 30-year-old and your 30-year-old is making the same decisions that you made, but they don't come to you and ask you, you've put yourself in that position where they're not going to come to you and ask you, because he, when he buys his car, is anticipating going to say, dude, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. But you live and you learn. And so I have, as a parent, have just learned to understand you're not a child anymore. You don't have to ask my permission to do anything. And when you make a mistake or something goes wrong, I'm going to be there to support you. When it goes fantastically well, I'm going to be there to support you. I'm never going to be like, you're an idiot, right? Like that's just not, I don't believe in that. I think I spent so much time in your teenage years handing you too much stuff to now turn around and be like, dude, you're an idiot for doing that. I put you in a position where you don't ever ask for advice because everything's been handed to you. I made that happen. I'm the one responsible for that. Right? So now I have to live with the results of that. Have you been crippled financially? No. Are you not able to afford your bills? No. Has the house been a disaster? No. Is the car a disaster? No. Do I agree with those decisions? No. Do I hold it over your head? No. You learn to move on. I think it's one of the great discussions, and one of the great things you learn in life is how to be a parent. You are not prepared for the things that happen when you have kids. You just are not prepared for custody battles. You're not prepared for hormones. What the first time your kid really lies to you and you're really disappointed and it hurts your feelings, you're never prepared for that. And everybody does it.
What are the people saying?
I have no idea. I need me a truck, Jeremiah says. I'm kind of the car buying guru. You want a car deal and you need a good car deal, come to Salt Lake City. I'll go in with you and we'll get it done. I love the car buying process. We need an update, Zion noise pollution video. Well, now his car is not catless anymore.
And the Subi wasn't.
But it was loud like it was cat. My neighbors used to complain when he would come over early in the morning.
It had a muffler delay.
Yeah. My neighbors used to, like, I never told you this. There was one guy across the street who used to bitch and moan like
he crawled up my ass about it.
My neighbors complained about your car. And what would I say? Yeah, it is what it is. It's here for 5 minutes a day. Right? Like, but now your car is not silent, but it's certainly not as loud as the Subi was. So it's better. I'm going to Thailand to check out Hua Hin to look at moving there full time come January 1st. Thailand's amazing. Thailand is amazing. Go and do it, dude. Go. I don't know how old you are, Loner Fum. Go live your life, man. I fully encourage you to do it. I do. Fully encourage you. Here's your boy at the plate. Jack Caglione.
Yeah, I didn't wind up taking him, but
Johnny Gonzalez. Can I just have Jake Life over here and Monty Life over here and say that was good on the side and that one side was good too? Yeah. I got a new truck a week ago. What'd you get? I've become super broke trying to start a construction company, still building clientele. Don't give up. Use Yelp, use Instagram. Do not give up. I'm telling you. Oh, wow. And I hate when people text me off the show, right? I hate it. One listener not to be named. You mentioned heartbreak. My son came home and I thought something was different. I went out of town, came home early to find him and his girlfriend repopulating the earth in the living room. How would you have felt about that? Well, you're somebody that is very faithful and religious. So I probably would have been upset about it if I was. But me personally, I don't know. My question is, did you talk to your son about repopulating the earth? Jake and I had open, honest conversations about that when he was a teenager. I was not somebody who tried to hide that stuff. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sitting here, like, I think I employ the life lessons you've taught me, like, regularly. Like,
I'm not saying you don't.
Like, I know, but what I'm saying is that like, if you look at like decisions or, you know, like understanding, you know, how to make a decision, the process with which you should go about whatever category it is, like relationships, money, whatever it might be. You know, I think there's a process to that. And, you know, I think the hard part is like, you know, I know the hard part for me is like, I don't have like loads of friends, you know, I don't have this big circle of friends to talk to about it. So I know
a millennial.
I know what you're going to tell me about a decision. And then I know what I want to do.
I think you don't know what I'm going to tell you.
Well,
because you asked me about the car. And what did I say about the car?
That it's not a good time to trade in cars or do deals.
I would have found the exact right car and deal to the penny.
Mm-hmm.
So Jake came to me, he sent me the listing on the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I did an Edmunds and a Fox search on it. And I thought it was a little expensive. And there was another car, but the problem was that car was in Boise.
Mm-hmm.
The exact same car.
One.
Yes. Wrong. He didn't like white. So what I said, well, and I think I even sent you that listing, maybe. I can't remember. We talked about it. And I said, well, I would find it. Because I've done that before where I found a car somewhere and then I went and drove and bought it and we drove it home.
The white one, though, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. There was a reason. It wasn't just because it was white. I think it had more miles. I know that. It
had like 40-something thousand miles on it. But my point was, the only difference that I had with the car, and this is what I have told you, I would have found the exact right car at the exact right mileage on the exact right penny. Because you can do that now. And you got to bend them over a barrel. When you have a car like yours, the Subi that was worth a lot of money, you got to bend those dudes over a barrel. But other than that, I'm not. I think that the worst mistake people make is you don't communicate because you're scared. That's when you really need to communicate.
Well, there are times where I don't like talking about things because I know you're just going to tell me, hey, well, you know, like, you know, is it going to raise your payment? Like, you know, the obvious questions with
the common sense stuff.
The common sense stuff that I've already looked at, already considered, and already made a decision on what I was willing to do and what I was not willing to do. And you know what, my big reason for this particular transaction, which was different than in the past, and I think obviously this pertains to the market being way more difficult than it used to be.
Yeah,
is my big decision was, hey, I know that I want to start a side hustle, and I'm working on that actively, and I know that I don't want to you know, run into a big repair on this car as it's coming into its age and mileage when those repairs start to happen. I have no interest in spending and I priced all this out. I did all this. So I looked at, hey, well, what's the 65,000 mile, maintenance, like tune-up repair that you have to do on this car? And it was like $6,000 to do it right. And I have a guy. That wasn't dealership pricing. That was actual pricing. So like I priced out, okay, well, what is this car going to cost me this year as I try to start a business versus, okay, well, what would a car that I got, if I could find a car that I could do a deal on that kept me under $600 a month because my current payment was $540, I believe it was. So I felt like, okay, you're going to have a tough time staying at that payment, But if you can stay under this
at that
threshold,
level of automobile.
Yeah, at that level of automobile, I could have easily traded down into a Honda shitbox and paid $200 a month. There's no problem. Like and I agree with you on that. And I'm not running from that at all. I could have easily lowered my payment, but that's not what I was interested in. Driving my car. See, this is the difference. Not to go on this long thing, but driving for me is one of the few things that I get to do alone that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I can get in my car and I can go and drive the crap out of that thing for 20 minutes, relieve my stress, and then go back home.
Go do a canyon run.
And I'm good,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's more than just getting to
But notice
wherever I need to go.
I never told you it was a wrong decision. I never said that.
Right, I know. So my point is, not to get too lost in it, my point was that I felt strongly that I had looked at the variables. If I had looked at this and the deal was $700 a month and my insurance was going to go way the hell up, I just wouldn't do that. I would have taken the risk on, all right, well, I'm gonna take maintenance even more seriously than I do now. I'm not going to drive it. The other thing, and this is the other thing, and we've talked about this, hey, don't drive your car any more than you have to because you're trying to secure trade-in value.
Yep.
I had grown fatigued on that. I didn't want to keep doing it. And so there were just a lot of these factors, and I felt like, hey, I feel good about this decision. I don't feel like I'm forcing it. I felt like I looked for about 6 weeks, seriously looked for about 6 weeks, and felt like, hey, this is a decent opportunity, and I can get it done without having to go in there and go to World War III to get the rate I want to get on the car.
Yeah.
And so the part for me is that you are involved with it is I didn't, there are a lot of times in my life right now where I'm like, dude, I don't want to have to get consultation on it. I want to be able to make a decision and do it myself and handle it. And the other thing too is I didn't want to, and I really appreciate that you wanted to help with it. And because he is really good at car deals. There's no question about it. I didn't want to drag you down to a dealership for 2 hours.
And I'm not even upset about that.
I know.
My only point was, what is the fucking point of having no people in your life? What is the point of having somebody who will say to you, hey, Jake Retzloff, you can't be alone with that girl in the apartment. You got to have no people in your life. And if you don't want to hear no, well, then you just got to live with consequences. That's all. And that's what you're doing. So do you. I'm not upset about it. I'm not upset about it at all. But I look at like the wedding thing. That's something that will absolutely change your life. You get married, in my opinion, you get married or even engaged in the next 18 months. That just puts pressure that is just not, you just don't need to do that. Financially and career arc wise, man, you're just asking for a lot of pressure that you just don't need.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not my life. It's your life. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, our guy Boyd Lake got a new truck, and it's a 4x4 Toyota Tundra Platinum.
It's a nice truck, dude.
Blueprint color, blackout trim. I'm learning how to use all of the options.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Hua Hin on the Ocean East Side. Very nice. Not jungle golf course galore. Dude, you got to go. You guys, I beg you. Go chase your dreams. Don't wait. Don't say, I need to save. No, you don't need to save more money. Go figure it out. If you are young enough, if you have nothing to lose, if you don't have car payments and mortgages, and go make sure your visas are in order, make sure your passports are in order, and go. If it's not going to kill you, what's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? In this e-commerce world we live in, you better be making money. And if you are, great. Go. Don't wait. Don't give it like our guy Enrique with the construction company.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you need help with that? Reach out to us. We are well versed on how to build leads for construction companies. Like, please don't give up. Right now it is really easy to give up.
Mm-hmm.
It is really easy to get up. Fight on Natty. Long story short, what kind of car did he get? He got a VW Volkswagen R.
Mm-hmm.
Golf R is what he got. And promptly drove it into a pothole the size of Detroit. No bent wheel, though.
Luckily.
Yep, we are only doing this wedding because it's what we want. Do we have to? No, but I want to spend the most important day of my life with my family and friends. There you go. There you go. Monty 2028. I'm telling you guys, go live your life. I can buy a brand new Toyota pickup truck for $13,000, buy a condo for $100,000. And my dad said to me, everyone has the right to fuck up their own life. He's 80 and I'm 54. It's true, man. You do not have to do anything in this world. You don't got to pay your bills. You don't have to pay. You don't have to eat. You don't have to eat well. You don't have to eat poorly. You have to treat people well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to treat people poorly. Do whatever it is you think you want to do, but just understand there are consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You want to, and I say this to people all the time, you want to mouth off and say all these horrible things that you want to say? I'm all for it. First Amendment, goddammit.
Don't expect people to be happy, though.
Understand there are going to be consequences for the things you say.
Yeah.
And the things you do. And if you're willing to live with that, more power to you, bro.
Yeah.
Because I think freedom, we all talk about freedom in this world, and there's very little freedom. So you want to move to Thailand? My God, go. Go do it. That's your life, man, and I encourage it wholeheartedly. The Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. ThanksgivingHeroes.org. Please support ThanksgivingHeroes.org. Click on Salt Lake City if you can. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.